Say hi, Nicole Coley Weber.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back and see all the chat.
Welcome back. And we are broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, KNPL, and Odyssey Radio. Remember, you can access our archives for free at youtube.com/spaced out radio. And while you're there, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the S.O.R Newswire, get some official Spaced Out swag, plus rock out to some Bumblefoot and so much more. Glad to have you, Coley.
Yeah,
Glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate
It
that.
is so awesome. We're gonna have an awesome show for you guys. I got my fellow hosts here. We're gonna put this thing together, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the chat, see who came in here, who's got the gold for today. Usually it's Race Fan, but today it is the Debster. First wrench in. See y'all tonight.
Got it.
Kathy Evans has the silver. Kathy Evans, welcome to the show. And the last week's champ, Susie B, the champ of our Spaced Out trivia from last week. Susie B, the reigning champ, she came through with the bronze.
Nice.
So other than that, you want to welcome some of the folks into the chat, Coley? You got it in front of you?
I do have it in front of me. So me seeing everybody in here. It's great. Susie B. Look, got you. Gotta go down past here. And we've got, I'm really, if I massacre this, I'm so sorry. But we got Kevin here, we got Amy, the Dubster, of course. Dubster. I had a good laugh earlier, so I think you probably know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Susie B again, Justin, great to see ya, have you on here. Nancy Thomas, Amy, Susie B. Let's see, we got lots of great people in here. Kurt, nice to see you. Susan, Julie. Yeah, there's lots of great people in here. Robert, and we got Bad Captain No Donut. Am I reading that right?
That is it. Bad
That's
cop.
it.
Bad at cop.
I'm gonna admit that I have my glasses. I forgot to put my glasses on. So, I appreciate everybody. Some of these I'm like, yeah. Hello, Ben. I see Mike here, Julie, Farrell. Let's see, Nancy Thomas again. I guess I already said hello to you. Hello again, Lars. Yeah. Do you want to take it from there, Rob? You probably can see
Yeah,
better.
Jess. Yeah. Okay, Jessica Davenport. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for joining us today. Spaced Out Radio
Hey.
After Hours. Vita NY. We appreciate you for coming through. We got Robert Lamont Jr. in the building. Just stepped in. Thanks for coming through. Oh, Ben Eubanks. Nice hat, Mr. Rob. Yeah, I'm representing for the good US of A, the good United States. So, we're in the building. Anonymous Rex, Tim Senor says, hooray, Nicole in the house. And she
Hello,
is in the building. You see her
Tim.
right here. She is in the building. And we are going to do the thing tonight. Bob Berkins. Thank you so much for coming through, Bob. Let's see. Who else do we have? I don't know if you said it, but I'm going to say it. Jessica Davenport, thank you for coming through.
Course,
Let's see.
definitely.
Ray Finn, appreciate you coming. Thanks for coming through. Let's see here. I want to make sure we get everybody. Okay, word one ist or word list, either or. Thanks for coming through. Oh snap, Coley, you back. Nice. Respect to all. Love it. Amy WC says, yeah. Okay, let's go, Amy WC. Terry Hall, the GOAT, Terry Hall. Well, hello, Glowy. Okay, thanks for coming through, Terry. Um, Ali or LDE, thank you so much for coming through. The demon.
Oh, the
Did
demon.
that UFO show? Okay. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. Magneticus Attractus. Sending me all kinds of man, dude. You are the bomb, dude. You are the bomb. You know why. Appreciate you, Magneticus. Thanks for coming through. Anonymous Rex says, Sweet Robbie G, rolling a big fat after hours show. You already know. Let's get it going. We're going to get it going. I see my guy here, Derek Galloway. Hi, Nicole. The hair looks great. New color. Hey,
Oh, thank you, Derek. I appreciate that. That's
Derek,
really nice. You're the first one to notice.
gentleman. He's a gentleman. He's a sweetheart.
That's
Let's see.
awesome.
Yeah, we got Terry Hall. We already got Terry
Hey,
Hall.
Terry.
He is the guy. Okay. And Joanne. Howdy, Joanne. Thanks for coming through. Okay. Chat is moving, man. Let's see. Oh, let me put this up because Judy Farrow knows what time it is. The number to call in. We had a couple people call in, as you will see later in our new segment called The Viewer's Voice. Your voice is going to get heard tonight. Who left a message? We'll have to wait and see. I'd like more to call, so you still have to the end of the show to go ahead and call and leave your experience. Remember, you can leave a message up to 3 minutes long. At the beginning of the message, if you would, it would be really nice if you state your name, either your name or your YouTube name, either way. So when we play it, we know exactly who we're listening to. And yeah, let's get a few more in there before the end of the show. Definitely step away and it takes 3 minutes. Who else do we have here? We have okay, I think that's everybody actually. Yeah, okay. That's everybody. We're all caught up. We are going to get this show going. And just Coley, how you been? I mean, I know you've been sick. You've been away from the ufology scene for a minute. Some things have been going on. Like, how are you feeling? Talk to us.
Oh, I'm feeling much better. It was something it's kind of chronic, something that I had, but um I took my 2 weeks break, but I still, kept an eye on things, seeing what's going on,
Yeah,
watching, the watcher, I guess. So I
yeah,
have been absent in this part, but I have not been absent watching because when you're sick, there's nothing better than to watch, shows, especially
yeah. Especially Spaced
freestyle
Out Radio.
radio, that's like one of
Exactly,
the best.
exactly.
So
So, I mean, while we're kind of just kicking things around for a minute because we're gonna jump actually into the Spaced Out Radio weekly review. We're gonna look back, going back in time, jumping in the time machine to go ahead and take a look at some of the best moments of Spaced Out Radio from the previous week. We have a little montage video set up. And I think you will enjoy it. So we will actually let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So you guys sit back, check out this video we put together, some of the best moments of the week, and laugh with us. And then we will be right back with you. Let me go ahead and see if we can bring this to the stage. Okay, this is all right. Here we go.
Forced me to sit down and watch Jaws. Okay. And that, honestly, it to this day, man, I could be swimming in a swimming pool and I will literally hear the da 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 if I'm alone in the pool and I'm just looking at the deep end or the shallow end, waiting for that fin to come out, man. I am that traumatized by sharks. I don't want to take that chance because if anything happens, it always happens to me, my man.
So you were only 7 when Jaws came out?
That was about 1980. They forced me to watch it.
And you were only 7 then?
Yeah. Well, how old do I do? I'm not 60 or 70 or 80.
I'm older than you by a long shot. Oh my God. Well, that's okay. But anyway.
Hey, there's Random Gee. Random Gee has returned. The hell am I wearing? I'm wearing a toque. It says Bigfoot on it. The lovely and talented Pixie Lara made this for me and gave it to me in Vegas. I've been waiting for the temperature to get cold in order to be able to wear it. It's very thick and woolly. It's awesome. All right, my man. You're shaded in darkness tonight. You're shaded in darkness. I mean, glow stick. I don't know is the power out down there or what's going on?
I burnt out my cine lamp. So yeah, I'm gonna have to replace it. But I'm working with my effect lighting tonight only. So
your simulated lighting, honestly, is working like crap. It really is, but that's okay. It sets a mood. With that human experience that goes on, we see the ups, the downs, the hurt, the pain, the lies, the deceit, the honesty, the integrity. We see everything every day. And then we see the facade of social media that kind of kicks in on that, which is the greatest hiding place ever for people to be whatever and whoever they want. And I look at it as, how real are we now? How real is society when, we see, these so-called influencers faking photos that they're on a beach in Bora Bora when in reality they're in their New York studio apartment with a green screen behind them, right? I mean, how real are we? I mean, this is becoming very 1984-ish.
Yes, and I love that you brought that up because it's definitely something that, I think one of the benefits, I guess you can say, of this kind of illusion that we are feeding in through these facades and the masks that we play, is that the lines between what is real and what is, fake and what is imaginary, it's becoming very blurred at this point. Now, the downside of that is that we live in fantasy worlds. We live in we create, our entire life is constructed based on reaching fantasy goals, reaching wealth, reaching beauty standards that are created by industries, reaching relationship goals without us having a profound understanding of ourselves and even the basic fundamental emotional, basics of humanity, because we're so severed from our own internal connection, because our attention is purely on these illusions and these ideas of everything, our identities, our sex, our religion, our cultures, relationships, families. Our reality is highly compartmentalized in such a way that we, having these separate compartmentalized things, make us feel very separate and make it very difficult to link our everyday life with what we're seeing. So one of the things that we again, want to try to reinforce is the reconnection with ourselves, deep states of meditation, really coming into a deep contemplation about the origin of our own perceptions. And the deprogramming of the matrix programming, the deprogramming of the influences that we are taking on subconsciously, unconsciously from the external stimuli, especially social media is one of the things. But, for those of you that don't, I think a lot of people are moving away from television and social media, and beginning to kind of go deep within their own internal connection, connect more with nature.
From the missing to the mountains of Montana, it is time for the return of Big Bad Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio and the Cryptid Report. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio, how you been doing, buddy?
So we got up there Saturday night, too late to grab our main campsite. Somebody else was already camping on it because weekend. So we had to go out of the valley down the pass to this other campsite that I had been on one time before, which, is also really active. But by my estimation, it's in kind of a bad spot because we're on good relations with the ones that live in that valley up there. And on this other campsite, you're outside the valley and you're right where the spine of the mountain runs down the entire range. And they like to follow the spine of the mountain range going from point A to point B. And we found their trails on both sides of the campsite, which also means the road goes through there too. So go to the other side of the road, find their trail going up the hill. Go to the other side of the river from the campsite, find their trail going up the hill. So the problem here is that even if you've got like habituation enough that you get along just fine with the local population up there, now you're in an area where any of them wandering through the mountain range might just decide to come wandering through your camp in the middle of the night. So that made me a little bit paranoid. So we were stuck there Saturday night. As a matter of fact, by the time we, figured out where there was a campsite nobody was on, it was well after dark. So we had to use the car headlights to set up my tent, and I'm in there setting everything up. And Johnny got a campfire going. We sat out by the campfire for about an hour. There was hardly any firewood around there, and so we burned it up in no time flat. And it was getting really cold. We were tired, so okay, let's go to bed. So I go back into my tent, and he gets in his car, reclines his seat back, pulls up his sleeping bag over him, and just kind of leans back, and that's how he's sleeping. And he's got the front of his car about 50 feet from my tent. And I'm still in my tent trying to wrap up in my sleeping bag in multiple blankets like a cocoon so that no air is escaping or getting in. And it's so cold. I've got gloves on, I've got a hat on, and all of a sudden, and neither one of us were asleep yet, and I was still too cold and trying to get comfy, and he hadn't, apparently he had just run his car for about 20 minutes to warm up the interior and shut it off about 10 minutes before that. So here we are, and all of a sudden you hear this whoosh, whoosh, whop, whop.
Wow. Well, it's good to have you back on the show, my man. And I know we're going to talk about a lot of Canadian stuff going on. And, I know the majority of our audience is in the United States. And even though this show is from Canada, we try not to stay, too Canadian, so to speak, because, with our accent saying oot and a boot and Tim Hortons and hockey and donuts and moose, we don't want to, screw up everything, for our American audience trying to
Don't want to
figure out
lose them. Don't want to
what
lose
the hell
them.
are these
Right.
guys saying? What the hell are these hosers saying? Here we go. Jason Gilbert from UAP Studies Podcast. We're talking about these black triangles that people are seeing in the lower mainland of British Columbia, Canada, which is Vancouver East. If you're driving and on the driver's scale, you're about 100 kilometers an hour, 62.5 miles per hour to Jason's house.
That's
Jason, how you
accurate. That's accurate. I was going to
Thank
say, you don't know whether to call it X or Twitter. It's kind of like when Prince changed his name to like a symbol, and we were all kind of like, yeah, we're not doing that. Like, we're not going to call you whatever that symbol is. That's kind of what the X and Twitter thing is reminding me of. But yeah, no, the black triangles are an interesting case. It's not that they're exclusive to BC, but they're more known in BC. Like they're seen more often. But along with the orbs, although mentioned in recently that this is a global issue, and I know that the Five Eyes have covered that the orbs are seen globally and they don't know what it is. As far as I'm concerned, theory-wise, they're surveying land, or they're monitoring. Like these things fly at high speeds and yet don't crash into anything. I've never heard of one crashing into anything yet. It's amazing. But the drone footage that people are showing of these things flying across their shots, or things that are in the skies, it's fascinating. At the same time, it's scary. I interviewed two twin brothers from England, the Kinsella brothers. And when they were 14, an orb flew over them and their mother. It was about 10 feet above their heads. And they observed it, and they knew that it was looking at them somehow. They just felt it inwardly. Although the orb flew away, not too long afterwards, the brothers at different times were abducted. So to me, it's kind of like, are the orbs what they use to look for certain people? Because it's funny that the orbs appear and then an abduction happens. So it's almost like the orbs are a harbinger of some sort, at least for us, to know that something's about to happen, or it's a hotspot. If the government is aware that something weird is happening around something that they're involved in, it should be disclosed. It's not national security. At this point, we got to stop saying national security, because it's global security at this point. It's not national.
So when you have action like that, how do you deal with it? Because a lot of people, they'll try and run away. They'll maybe move houses, not go back for a while. How do you try and deal with it?
That's a great question, man. I mean, you're right. I mean, I guess your typical person really is, get really scared. If something like that happens to them. My girlfriend's definitely one of those people. She's not even hardly had an experience, but she's terrified of something like that happening to her. And when she came back, I told her about those things that happened, and she thought, oh, you're just exaggerating. There's nothing in our house. And like I said, I haven't seen anything visually since then. But the funny thing is that when she came back, I think it did this to like show her, oh yes, I was here, or I am here. We were laying in bed one night, or I was crawling into bed, and she had been asleep, but because I was crawling into bed, I kind of woke her up a little bit, disturbed her sleep. And as I got in bed, I literally heard 3 scratches on what sounded like a wall or cardboard or something. And we had a cardboard box in our room, and it was as clear as day. It was just like real slow like that. And you're like, what kind of normal physics thing could make a noise like that, And at first I thought, oh, it's the cat, pawing at the wall or the box or something, trying to get food or attention or something. And then I realized, oh, she's laying in bed right beside me. And I went, oh no. And that's when I nudged her beside me and was like, did you hear that? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, that was not the cat. And then she lifted her head immediately and looked around, looked over beside me. And sure enough, the cat was laying right beside me. And she was just like, go to sleep. I don't want to know about it. It's fascinating. You're sitting there engaging with something that science says doesn't even exist.
Okay, so where do creatures or cryptids like the black-eyed kids or gargoyles and ghouls and goblins come into play?
Well, black-eyed children, they are children of another race. We call them black-eyed children because, well, frankly, they're black-eyed and they're about the size of children. What I only just uncovered the information on is what they really are. Now, there's a race out there that we refer to as watchers. They literally stand by and simply record what's going on. Black-eyed children are the watchers young. So they start off observing firsthand, and then as they get older, they move further out of the contact line. But again, and of course, when we look at the cryptids, understand a cryptid is, in essence, an unidentified entity.
Put a hat on to join you.
Oh, look at that.
And, it is that time of the night where we always say hello to all the agents and agencies that are tuning us on in tonight. And, you already have our phone number, so we don't need to give it to you. Call us sometime. Say hello. Some of us can be bought. That's right. That's right.
So that was the awesome week that was Spaced Out Radio. We had a lot of great guests, as you saw in that rolling clip. Coley, what do you think about that? What do you think about the awesome guests we had this week?
Oh, I think there were some great ones. I had to go straight to Dave Zinger, especially the last one. To the agencies watching, you have our phone numbers. Give us a call
Exactly.
sometime. I love it when he puts those little zingers in there. But yeah,
Exactly.
that was definitely humorous. Yeah, we can be bought. We can be bought. Give us a
And
call
when
sometime.
you look at it, you realize Dave's a funny guy, man.
Yeah.
Dave, he's a funny guy, dude. A lot of funny clips were in there.
There
And
was too.
it we'll formulate this, and we'll be picking the best clips of every week, and we'll kind of get this into a great package for you guys. We'll get the graphics up, we'll get the background theme music going and everything. So I'm glad you guys appreciated seeing the week that was Spaced Out Radio. So would that be let me go ahead. Tim Senor, Dave's a riot. He is a riot. The guy is actually
He is funny.
the guy is actually a funny guy, man. So and I know Dave is stated he might be watching from his father's house. So Dave, you're a funny guy, dude. You're a funny guy.
He
All
says
right.
it sometimes, like I don't know, like he's just sitting there. I'm thinking, how is he keeping a straight face? Like, especially
So
during that last one, I was like, oh my gosh. I after you have listened to him for some time, you kind of understand how people maneuver around through it. But yeah, that was pretty funny.
exactly.
That was
And then
pretty
I
funny.
missed this clip. I don't know how I missed this one, but we'll get this one in next week's review. We don't have ugly swag. We don't. That's Dave's new catchphrase.
Oh
We
yeah,
don't
what did
have
he call
ugly
that
swag.
thing? And he said it's nice and warm. What I can't remember what he called it though.
A toque.
A toque, yeah.
A toque. Made by Paranormal Pixie. So shout out to Paranormal Pixie for
That's
making Dave's
cool.
toque.
Hey, I'm in
Definitely.
Iowa. That sounds like that's right up my alley. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
That's cool.
So awesome stuff going on. What I want to say, let me go ahead and shout out Black Dragon. Black Dragon, thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. Let's see. Everybody agrees Dave's a funny guy. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. Derek's talking about Derek's talking about swings and stuff. So we're not talking about swings. But we will go ahead. Yeah. You have to follow the chat. That's all I'll say, Coley. Follow the chat.
Did I miss something about the swing? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Just
go on back.
keep an eye on the chat. And yeah, Derek is a character, man.
Oh,
So
he is. He
yeah.
is.
So I kind of wanted to get your opinion because I know you've been away from the scene for a minute, and there's been a lot of things that going on. Had you followed the story regarding the 30 to 50 whistleblowers that had come forward? Had you followed that article?
I did read it. I
Any
don't.
opinions?
Well, we were talking to Stephen Bassett going back, and he thought that them putting Grush on, his opinion is them putting Grush on was going to force these other whistleblowers to come forward. It was going to force movement. So he's kind of, I know that he said dates before, whatever, but he's got a good point on this one.
Yeah, and I'll tell you how I'm feeling about it. A lot of people, it obviously. So at the end of the day, and I think I've said this, but I'm going to say it again. So at the end of the day, I think with the whistleblower situation, it's good that I think it's great that we have people that are willing to step forward and go against the grain, essentially, of the establishment, really, because these guys don't have to do that. They're in these protected positions, protected spots where they could just continue going on with their day to day, continue staying plugged in with these projects in their secret world. But they made a conscious choice to say, okay, well, he did it, so I'm going to do it. 30 to 50 is a big number, even though they'll probably never see the light of day. But I did want to get your opinion on that because I know that's something that had passed since you've been gone, and
I'm
we've talked a lot
apprehensive.
about it in the last week or so.
I'm
Say
apprehensive
again?
because I'm apprehensive because you don't know who the players are. Like, okay, is this our nice 3-letter agencies like rolling something out here, or is it being manipulated? I guess I see things a little bit different. I understand the disclosure and this disclosure movement. We don't want to panic people, but we're going to tell them what we're doing. We're just going to slowly disclose this. It's like, okay. But I see the experiencers, their disclosure movement different. I really do. As an experiencer, when I see that stuff, I think it almost angers me a little bit to think, well, why do they get to know the answers that I don't? Like, why am I here with these jagged memories? And like, why am I sitting here and then I'm having to watch these congressional like meetings and all this stuff? And it's like, you might as well just black out. It's the same thing every time, but you got your players. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping that people start to see, like, especially, um, I'm sitting back and I guess when I see that stuff, I've seen it so many times over the past 10 years. Watching it, it's just been different players. Same, you can go through, but I don't know. I struggle with the whistleblower thing too. I just think that they would be where like Edward Snowden is, or they would be next to Julian Assange. Like how is this like you're gonna, unless they intentionally want this information leaked, which they're saying they do necessarily, So I don't know what the play is on it, but
I've been caught, and I don't know how wrong it may actually come across, but I'm the one that says, go ahead and leak. Go ahead and leak. When it comes to this, I mean, if you're an actual patriot, then you would do this for your fellow man, for the country. Like if you're a patriot, you're not necessarily just a patriot of the government. You're a patriot, and you do this on behalf of the people of the country. So I think it would be a patriotic move to come out and leak something that further puts your fellow American, we'll say Americans in this point because we're talking about the government, but puts your fellow American in a position where
yeah.
We can just where we can empower ourselves to take the step to kind of forge our path into this new direction. So it really, I mean, you may, if these guys are under NDA, obviously, and they get put in jail for stepping out, I'm one of the ones that'll be out there marching for these guys and fighting for these guys to be free. And I think a lot of other people would do that. And that's one of the things because I know they watch these shows, and I just want one of those people, one of those whistleblowers to understand that, like, dude, you could take the extra step and just leak this stuff, leak the UFO secrets. Like, you don't have to leak anything else that's pertinent to the government, but leak the UFO stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
So what do you think? Okay, so I'm going to give you a scenario here. So if they came out today and they're like, okay, American people, government, our government right now today, they're like, alien, this, we're going to show you this, and we're going to bring all this information. Well, now we have AI that in the mix of things, and how they're able to manipulate videos and how they're able to manipulate all of these things. So it's coming to a point, like, it's like over the last 10 years, I've seen how the technology has come in on this. And I don't think that people are going to react. I think that people are numb right now. I really do. And so to me, like the movement that I've always followed is I believe that in the Het movement, like that humanoid extraterrestrials are like living among us in humanoid form, and then they're really in control of so much of this. They've infiltrated every part of us. I mean, some people have speculated that there's like 1 in every 4. So how many of those people? So that's where I have to step back, and listening to all this, and I'm like, okay, is this like a reasonable response? We've got something up that is outmaneuvered like our very best. We got David Fravor, our Black Ace. They're up there, like they outmaneuvered our very best. They hold air superiority over our best. They hold global air dominance. But how are we responding to it? Like the government, you know what I'm saying? Like if they didn't know and they weren't in on this, like don't you think that they would be responding with like military people, you know, shipping them out or like doing things that it always happens very conveniently when they're doing some sort of what I want to say, like test, or they're out there, you know, on a simulation or doing something, and then boom, all of a sudden that happens. So I think that the story they're telling us is more to pacify us, and that I kind of see that from a different perspective, if that makes any sense.
No, and it does. And so when you say that they're in cahoots, like spell that out. Like what? So in what aspect? So are you saying they're behind? Because a lot of people do the false flag thing and they get into that.
Mhm.
So are you speaking in those terms, or what exactly are you saying with that?
Okay, so the movement that I was a part of, like for a long time, we did a lot of cryptology and steganography, where we looked through and we started to identify these people. Okay, we call HET, we're just humanoid extraterrestrials. We didn't say like, you know, give them like they weren't reptilians, they weren't, you know, we went from a very macro perspective on it. And so then we started to look and find similarities and see how they were communicating, because they communicate with one another. Like you can start to see it. It's just crazy in like news articles and things that come out in dates and numbers. And like, so you start to do things that way, and you see that this is very, they're planning this. Okay. So if they're planning this, they already have an outcome planned, and they're not telling us, and they'll never be like right on the time. So they can always make their little adjustments, you know, along with people. So I think that, it's pacifying a lot, and it's making us look in the wrong direction, because we've been in the same spot for over 80 years. I mean, 80 years. And nobody wants to, I mean, when I first started coming out talking about I thought they lived here. I thought they live among us. They definitely do. And I thought, this is crazy. I can't even believe I'm saying this. And I stuck with it and stuck with it and stuck with it, and learned the coding, learned the wording, learned the brevity coding, Navy made like whole 9 yards for years. I like studied this. And I'm like, there's no possible other explanation but that they aren't here. So if we allow them to have this disclosure the way that they're planning it, and we go along with all these congressional hearings, and we go along with this, and people are disclosing. I've tried to leak documents. I've leaked documents before. And I mean, it's not always been a popular thing, but people, they can't digest it. There's something that prevents, and you know, and that's where I think the experiencers are going to understand that more than somebody who has not experienced the phenomena. So I don't know as necessarily like, you know, the public, I'm seeing like stuff people are writing on Facebook, and it's like, yeah, I'd rather be abducted by aliens than, you know, live another day in the book of Revelations. I don't know. So it's for me, I guess I see a lot of this from a different perspective. I start to look, I think, is there a motive here? You know, how can we break this down? Why are they trying to direct us this way? You know, I try and say, because they're planned. They already told us that this is slow drip disclosure. So, you know what I mean? I try and see if I can get a step or two ahead of them, but I don't know.
So do you feel then? So okay, so let me ask you this: do you feel, if we let the process go as is it your feeling then that the disclosure would come from the government at some point in time? Are you a believer in they will bring disclosure as part of their plan, or do you feel like
They're going to
they
bring
would
it.
never bring it?
They're going to bring it, and they're going to take control of the narrative, but they're not going to do it until they're able to completely control that narrative. So that's going to involve a lot of things. So what we as the movement believe in FOSIR, which is forced disclosure. So if we can force them into disclosure prior to this, like the experiencers have already proven that they can communicate with ET, right? So I know that I can communicate for whatever reason. I didn't ask for this. I have no idea. I got drug into it, but it happened. Okay. So everybody be like, why you? And I'm like, that's exactly it. Why
Right.
me? But let's find these answers. So I feel like they're taking us, like the experiencers, and when we follow that, it's something always feels hollow about it. For me, like when I'm watching this and I'm watching these people, and so I tend to very cautious. And when you start to sit back and see, don't don't let them take you on their journey. But definitely they're dropping breadcrumbs. Definitely check out and what they're saying. We want to get ahead of them. You know what I mean? Like that's would be like what my next step is. You know, I'm working and trying to get ahead of them because I don't want them to give me some bizarro half truth about something that has changed every bit of my life.
So okay, because and I that's why I'm asking these questions because I wanted to get your view of the government's involvement in this. And so let me ask you this then. What so why do you feel then feeling the way that you feel, why do you feel that they keep putting up roadblocks like at every turn? Like what do you think do you think it's to, from what you're saying, to control the rate at how this comes out, or how, what do you feel about that?
No, I don't, it has nothing to do with the rate. What I think that they're doing, and this is just a theory. So you know,
Right.
you got to have
Theory.
theories.
Yeah.
Now they're not always popular, but I'm like, you know what? Hey, test this out. If it's not, it's not. If it is, but we have to keep open minds and we have to go down all these avenues. So I don't know exactly. Like you know, I really think that looking at it from a different perspective and thinking, you know, maybe something was here before and they set this all up before and they're in control of this. You know, and that's not a good position for us to be in. But I think that there are rules to the game. There's definitely rules to all of this. But again, I think it's going to come back and the experiencers are going to be the ones that are put the pieces of the puzzle together. But right now, I really think that we're at war and they're kind of trying to prove that. I mean, look at what we're doing here. I mean, the whole spectrum of what the world is doing now, I think, and this is where I'll wrap it back around, is that they're creating an environment that is conducive to them, not us, to them and their species. And we're not the same. We are not the same. And people who said this has nothing to do with star seeds, this has to do with what we are dealing with here on the ground. And that's what I believe. Like I truly, I've tried to like go through this. They'll never admit who they are, and then the people that they'll have, the complicit people, the CEA, that's what we call. So until people get to that point where they're like, hey, we're open, let's look around, and you know that we can watch these congressional hearings, and like you said, we can wait on these whistleblowers and see what they have to say. And there's like so many of them that you know that that's going to clog it right there altogether. Like, why 50? You know, like why not 2? Why not? You know, it's just I really feel like right now we're being manipulated at every angle, and we just really need to be cautious of what they're feeding us, like that information. But
So
that's my opinion.
do you then think, and I'm doing this because I'm filling you out and I want to know how you
Oh
think about all
yeah.
this. So the do you feel then that the government has any control over disclosure coming? So as far, because I heard you speak on the ET's behalf, and when the ET's feel like we're ready, then they step in. So then the government, to you, do you think or feel like they're working with the ETs? Because I know some people believe that. Do you feel like
Yeah, they
it's
are government.
okay?
They walk down. If I don't know if you've ever heard of Robert Dean, Bob Dean.
Yeah.
If and when he talks about it, walking down the corridors, and that they're in every and like I said, we nobody knows, and until they come forward and disclose who they are, and they're gonna have to build a pretty big army. And I suspect what we're seeing going on, too, is a movement with AI, and that's almost scary. So is ET AI, is that our way like through this, or what are we actually dealing with? And I just, that part of it, if we could just go back 2 years even prior to like all this, I think I would even trust it more. But there's going to come a point, Rob. It's like you have videos, I have hundreds of videos and pictures too. But there's going to come a point where what good are they? Because we don't know, we can't tell the difference now if it's AI or if it's, you know, the naked
Right, that
eye.
part.
Like it's that part sucks. It really does.
See, and this is obviously all you know, and that's the one thing obviously to preface is that this everything that the theories that we come up with are speculation, and I don't believe that there's anyone out there that actually knows, and there's people that claim to know, and I just don't buy into that. So here's a theory that I have, and I feel like, and this just might be just the average perspective, and maybe you can enlighten me on some things, but the way I feel about it is that the ETs are here. I don't the only part that I feel like the government actually plays in this is that they are trying to keep us in that bubble, that protected bubble, where we don't realize what's going on. So they feel like that they're the all-knowing, all-seeing, and essentially it's like a mommy daddy sort of complex where they feel like they get to decide what's best for us. So I feel like the ETs have come here, and I think that they would like to talk to us directly, if possible. I don't personally feel that they go through the government for anything. I just think that the government tries to keep the wool over our eyes, in order to stop us from getting the direct connection. But then you have experiences like yourself, and then others who have had experiences connecting directly and didn't need any sort of government involvement to do so. So I feel like they look at us when they come here as, okay, these guys are enslaving each other. Like this is a planet of different groups enslaving larger groups of people, and I don't think that that's the model that they go with. So when we talk about like the reptilians and all these guys that might be part of the government, I just can't buy into that. I just don't think that there is a direct link with the ETs in the government, other than they're trying to blind us from progression. So I don't know. What do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
Oh, I started off there too because I thought this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. So humanoid extraterrestrials live among us now, you know, because I always thought that barrier was there. But when you like, have you had ET contact?
Not ET contact, no.
You've been in close proximity with the craft, right? For a period of
Yes.
time. Okay, so that's usually a big indication, like on the scale that you have, maybe, and maybe you just don't remember. I have like there's vivid times where I've met different ETs. They look different, they act different. There's different things that they show you things in a different way. But you gotta understand, like they were all different. You know, it was like, so the talls, like I could move freely around there. And they were more like showing me how they like when they go and they have a memory, they actually go and project that and go back and how it all connects is it's hard to explain. So anyway, so they were more accommodating. I was able to walk around freely. Compared to some of the other ones, like the Grays, my initial one. But I asked why am I being restrained? Why do I have to be restrained? And they said because of contamination. So I think that if you look at it from a perspective of what's going on, and you just keep an open mind, like 100%, our government would be out there and they would be up. I mean, we would have every military there would be alarms being sound if this were a normal reaction to something that held global air dominance. We're talking about over all of us. This is everyone. I mean, they're outdoing us, outrunning us, outshowing us, whatever. But you got to think the government holds technology for 50 years. I mean, that right there, I'm not convinced what exactly we are dealing with. But I do think that if we can learn like different things, like we try different things like seeing full spectrum or coming up with different, ideas or doing this together or start connecting the experiencers, I think that we can find different avenues to this. So just keep an
Yes.
open mind. Just keep an open
Yeah.
mind.
So and that's and I can see that. I do believe that we have definitely reverse engineered craft for sure.
Mhm.
But it, and this is how I've looked at it, right? So I believe we have that because we have retrieve crash crap. So being whether this is a natural thing that happened with the ETs just having to crash, or if like in the STS shuttle tapes where it shows the what looks like to be a UFO going and then darting back as a
Mhm.
projectile comes out. So I think that some of those are actually shoot downs, right? So I feel like our government has been shooting some of these things down in order to get a hold of the material, which in turn has been reverse engineered. So we have
Do you
that.
think though that I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just
Yeah, you're
have to
fine.
ask a question really quick and like before you think of this. Do you think that though how advanced we assume they are, like we assume, they've been played out this, how advanced they are that we could shoot them down? We can't even David Fravor can't even get into the vicinity of one. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Doesn't that seem
yeah,
like
yeah. No, and I thought about that, and yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things. So when you position that, it's like, yeah, well, how could they do that? Because they happen to move so fast. I will say that I've seen some, and here's one of the other parts of that. So we talk about like the five observables, instantaneous acceleration, those sorts of things. I don't believe that these UFOs display those properties all the time. Sometimes these things just meander through the sky at a normal pace, nothing dramatic, as you'll see in the hour two with the UFO video that I have. These things are kind of just floating through the sky at no
Mhm.
great rate of speed. So in those events, I'm feeling like there would be potentially the possibility if we knew the secret to bringing these things down, whether it was like an EMP or something like that, that might be one of the ways that we're doing it. I know
Have you
some
ever
of the
signaled? You can
have I
signal.
have I
I can I
signaled?
can I can tell you how to see one in 2 weeks time. Like Christos Rapallo, he had The Curse of the Man Who Sees UFOs. He had it was a series on Netflix. And so I reached out to him when all this started happening, like all this craziness. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, like the first one I saw was 50 feet in diameter and I stood 30 feet away from it. I was up on a hill. So we were like face to face, like showing off. So I mean, some of the stuff you can't even deny that it's happening. But he used tactical lighting, and he would signal. So I had he started chit chatting with him. So he goes out on Monterey Bay and goes out with a team of scientists all the time, and they watch these things and according to him, like the ones with the cube with the circle in them are the ones that the newest ones that are coming out, but they're keeping an eye on. But you can signal them down. You really can. I'm telling you, I honest to God, I have like a collection of tactical lights, and I can tell you how to do it. 100%.
And I would love to do that. I would go out with you and do that, and maybe we can set that thing up. We'll be in Reno, so maybe we can try that when we go out to Reno. I definitely want to do that, so let's do that. But
Absolutely.
but here's the thing with that, right? So if what I feel like is just like you stated, air superiority. So when you have a situation where there's air superiority and we can't, it appears that our jets can't take these things down. I still believe that there's certain circumstances where we're able to disable these things. And here's the other part of that. So Do you believe in the that we've retrieved bodies?
If we've retrieved bodies, and
Yeah,
like I said,
ET bodies.
there's so many different. If you look at ET, like think of all, like we have birds, we have all these different types of species. So when we try to like wrap them up, and there's all different kind. There's good, there's bad, there's different. What we're just lumping them together like that is harder for me to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I think there definitely is, and I think that there's some sort of battle. But what I from the intel that I have gotten and from the leaks that I have gotten is that they want to make Earth is like this is whatever, keep open mind, but this will be like the stopping station, or like you know what I mean, like that they're planning on going, and this, but Earth would be like the hub, and so that's what we've been building. But I don't know, like what is the end game? Like why are they holding this information from us? Because they obviously had, and you can see how all of it's blacked out and they're, or classified, and it's like, how in the world are you even supposed to dig through that?
And Ben Eubanks, his bodies would be discarded by now. And see, that's one of the things that I'm saying. So, like, because we're going to break in a few minutes, but let me just say real quick, like with the Roswell, for instance. So let's just take that event by itself. So crash craft, however it happened, maybe ET's crash, maybe we brought it down, whatever the case. We retrieve dead bodies. We take them to what's the place the
Morgue.
no it's
No.
the air base Wright Patterson, Wright Patterson. So we take them to Wright Patterson, we put them in the cave, we whatever we do with the bodies, right? So here's my aspect on it, right? So a lot of people say these things come here for light and love, and they want to help us, they want to further the planet, they want us to be in a better place. So when I look at it, the question I ask is, wouldn't they want the bodies back? So if these are actual bodies of their fallen crewmates, wouldn't they want those bodies back? If we travel to another planet as astronauts from Earth, and we went to Mars, and Mars is inhabited by some sort of species, one of our ships crashed and we lost a pilot or two, they take the pilot's bodies into their underground caverns or layers. Wouldn't it be something that we would want to get back? And that's kind of how I feel with the ETs. That's why I don't think that they're playing along with the government, because I don't, we've held these bodies and biologics for examination, and I know that if they have any sort of moral compass, they definitely want those bodies back. So then how do they perceive us?
But we
How do they look at us?
gotta see if okay. So we're going under the assumption. I think that it's important to think that we're humans. We're having the human experience. We don't know, like, spiritually in their soul or whatever dimensions, like even if they need bodies, like you know what I mean. And then we've never really had definitive proof that we do have their bodies. I mean, like, how much of this is the government playing? Is there really bodies there? Because like you say, but they call them containers. And from my understanding, if they're so much farther like progressed than what we are, then do they really need them? I mean, because what I've seen of them, either it's very AI-ish. You know what I mean? Like it's not something where you'd be like, how we obviously have our different, we would look the same. We would have the same mannerisms. We would have the same. So it was more robotic. So are they ET even, or are they're like AI they send out? Who knows?
See,
but we can't assume that they think like us.
And I agree with you on that. And we'll pause right there, and we'll kind of continue that in hour number 2, because I actually have some other questions to ask you about that, and maybe we can hash this one out. So as we pause for the break, obviously we'll be right back and asking the question, do they have ET bodies? And we'll continue the conversation we're having now in hour 2. Plus, we'll go into some UFO sightings. I had one that was pretty epic, and we'll kind of cover that. I know Coley has had multiple experiences with these ET craft as well. So we'll talk more about that in hour 2, only on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio after hour 2 with me, Mr. Rob G, and the amazing Nicole Coley Weber as we continue our discussion today. And we're going to actually jump into some UFO sightings, talk about some of those. And we'd love to see what the audience is talking about here. So, to kind of just go where we left off. So, I'm feeling like these ETs, Coley, want their bodies back, but then you brought up a great point that we really don't even have proof that they have taken bodies. So I guess how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the idea that, because it's been told, a lot of people tell the story that there had been different crashes in different cases and ET bodies have been retrieved. So is it your belief that we haven't retrieved any bodies, or what? How are you looking at that?
I don't think that we have. I don't. If bodies in the sense of, and what are we doing with them? Really, I don't think that they would put them. I don't know what to think about it. I really don't. I can tell like what my experiences have been and like what I have, seen or gone through. But that side of it is, I think, a lot of like our black budget projects. Do we really know? And they very well may. I mean, because if we again, if you assume that that only humans are running this show right now, and however you want to call it, like I really do think that we're playing somebody else's game. I really do. And so do we have the bodies? I have no clue. I really don't. At this point, I really don't. But I do think that like, there's other ways that together, I guess, just on a side note, together that we can come up with and try and um make our own contact and find out our own answers. Because like I said, even though you may not remember having contact with them, Rob, like if you were in close proximity and you've had crafts like that, I'm almost going to guarantee that you have the ability to communicate with them. Maybe you just shut a part of that down. I mean, for some people, I had luckily found like this great group. I just talked to everybody about it. Just went out and just told everybody. I was like, this, and it just kept escalating. But you have a part to play. And so, that's a piece. It's like, I think that every disclosure is so different for everybody. For me, if those bodies are there or not, I think it's just a showpiece. I really do. And I think it's distracting, like, away from, and I really do think that the experiencers were really suppressed for a very long time. Nobody wanted to hear what anyone had to say unless they were military background or they were a government official. And I'm thinking, man, okay, like we've got counterintelligence coming out, and they're the ones that have been running this. I mean, their job is counterintelligence. So whatever they're masking up and why ever they're doing it, I mean, obviously, to hold power and knowledge and truth over somebody is definitely powerful. And if you look at it, I mean, if you start seeing this, and I'll share some things with you, Rob, ahead. It's very hard to digest at first, but when you start to see this, you start to see patterns, and you start to see how, like, the ETA, which we call the ET architecture, like the brevity coding, let's say, for the military, that's not being done correctly. UAPs and UFOs are not. It's ETVs, which are ET vehicles. So you're going to start to hear some of these wording. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. But I'm telling you, I was the same way. I was like, man, there is no way. There's no possible way. This is the most crackpot story I've heard yet. And it ended up being all roads led to it. Every time I tried to disprove it, I only got deeper into it. So, like, as for I want to answer your question about the bodies, but I honestly, I don't care that much about them. I'm sorry.
Well,
you may care about them, but I just think it's their game. You know what I mean? Like, it's their game. I don't know.
So, and the reason why I approach it that way is because if if it's the way that I'm stating, and like you stated, it could be any of these ways. We just don't know for sure. But if you have, so my here's and let's just look at it. Let's just act like it's like this. So these ETs coming from, just like, and I'll just kind of piggyback off what I was saying earlier. Just take this scenario because I want to know how you feel about, if this was the actual case, how we would proceed with this. So ETs come from this other place. They come here to Earth they've been visiting here for so long. Let's take it into consideration that maybe these we brought these down or they've crashed. And at some point in time, we have gone and retrieved these bodies. Um, and then back to the point I was making. So, okay, ETs, just like we would want the bodies back. So say that's the game that the government's playing with them, right? And the government is speaking or trying to speak on behalf of everyone else by being the ones who go to these locations to retrieve these crafts and these bodies. So how would the dynamic be? Because I did a show called The Alien Perception of Humanity, and it really was just looking at, like, what do these ETs really think about us? Did they come here initially like, hey, I want to help these guys? These guys are almost at a point where they can take it to the next level. Let's kind of help guide them to that place. And then things happen, like retrieving the bodies. And so their aspect or their outlook on humanity changes, like, well, hey, we want the bodies back. So give us the bodies back. And the government's like, we're not giving you anything. We're going to examine these things and we're going to do whatever we do with them. So if that were true, and their perspective of us changed because of that, you have the government pretty much in control of what the ET perception would be for all of us. And if this were the case, would you feel like, wouldn't that put us in a bad spot as far as our wanting to deal with them? If they feel like, well, you guys just don't care about giving us the bodies back. You guys just keep them and cut them up, do whatever you do with these things, and we don't agree with that. So if those things are going on and the government is the gatekeeper to the communication that we would have, and I get, and putting your knowledge of being able to contact these things directly aside, because, like, for me, I haven't had that experience, even though I might be able to unlock the ability to do this. But I'm just a human being at this point that's standing on this side of the gate while they intervene or interact with these ETs in ways that we may or may not approve. So if this is what's actually happening, wouldn't that be, doesn't that put humanity in a weird spot as far as going forward goes, when it comes down to contact and trying to build a relationship with these things? Like, if the government is actually stepping in and playing a part that puts a bad outlook on the rest of us, and we want to have that direct contact, doesn't that really change their perception of us as just humans, blanket humans?
I think that okay, so in some of the experiences that I can only like give you from my perspective, from the experiences that I have had, and everybody's kind of different. I think it just really depends the message that they're trying to send. But when they're more trying to understand us on a different level, and I really think it's because when I was on the craft with the tall whites, or I guess that's what they're calling them now. But anyway, when I was on there was a child, and he sat there, and I just remember I was free to walk around, and they had like this, it was multicolored. Well, now we know it as LED, but it was like this tunnel, and I could see through that they were doing something down there. But this boy just honestly was like ripping my heart out, because I have a son, and he would have been around the same age. And I remember thinking, man, you can come and and play with my son, and he won't say a word, but he was just waiting there. And when they do it, it was crazy because they showed me how they were going to play miniature golf, and the one had this like dress on with like these big, like I don't know, something out of the old J.C. Penney's catalog is the only way that I can describe it. And but the boy was standing there. So I think that what they're maybe trying to do, and I maybe that's what the bodies are about. And you think about bringing in cloning and things like that, that they are a part of us. I think that my galactic, I can tell you the connections that I've had and where they're at, and we're different things that I've seen. And it's like, but I asked for the tour, Rob. I asked when I was seeing those, I said, I want the tour. And after I said that, I got the tour. And that's when things got just really crazy. So I don't feel like they're judging us so much as trying to understand us. So maybe these children, whoever the children, and this little boy had a bald head. I remember just sitting there. He's just sitting there, just like waiting so patiently. And I, when you communicate with them, it's different. Like a lot of times they'll project images, or they'll take you like through holographically. It looks like more. And now we're having more and more, because going back like 5 or 6 years ago, like this stuff wasn't as, even LED lights weren't as big as they were. But that's, so now we're kind of getting more names and words to describe the experiences. But I've had one come down on the road. I have video of it. It's crappy video. We'll put it together, and next time I'll show you. It beat us at its like own game, and the thing came right down on the road and shot off. And I have pictures of it, and it's a triangle with a yellow center. So it's like they're playful. It's not like they're trying to harm us. I don't think. And I've had the markings too. I don't particularly like being taken without my permission. I'm not gonna say that, but I mean, there was always a trade-off. It completely changed my course of life, completely. So it's like that part of it. It's like every day this nags on you, and so your connection with it. I bet the more you get into this, the more you're going to find out. I would love MUFON Fred to and Rob, he would seriously, he would help you see a lot of this. And it's crazy because the surveys that they put together, there's 3 of them. I actually have obtained all 3 of them, but the disqualifying question is to whether you have had ET contact is if you've been in close proximity with a craft for a period of time. So I almost guarantee there's something that with you that's drawing it in. Is there anybody in your family that had experienced? I have a brother my son has seen so many. It's not even funny, like Mother of the Year. But it can't help it. It's like they're there. He's not blind. So my brother and him saw it first. So my grandma was one of the first ones. So do you have connections like that in your family?
No, I really don't. And truthfully, my sighting was about a year ago. So up to a year ago, but prior to that, I hadn't even had any sort of experience, seeing anything or contact or having any sort of contact. And I think I understand what you're saying, and that's kind of why I wanted to see your perspective on it, because I know, like, for an experiencer of anything, once you have an experience, you can't take that back. So your outlook is then different because of the experience that you had. So when I'm speaking to you, you're speaking from the place of having these experiences,
right?
Which is going to be,
subjective.
Yeah, and I try to get you out of that. So like close that part off and look at it this way and give me an answer this way, but you can't do it because you can't get, you've had the experience. So
I don't think that's, I think I don't, okay, so it's like if you had a movie, right, and they just took these slices of the movie out and they showed it to you and you're like, oh, okay, this, I got this. And when it first started happening, I thought it would be like, I was legitimately thinking that like people, it was going to cause a big stir, like the stuff that you mean, my neighbors were seeing it, but nothing, like nobody reacted to it. Like, I think that if we subjectively, it is, and I think that they say a lot of it is through the heart and through, the emotions that we kind of convey through one another. But we're moving up into a different level. Everybody says, like, everybody has a voice in their head. So that's like considering that like the fifth dimension, I'm moving up and gaining control of that. Like, but who what is it? How is this happening? How much are we being controlled? I guess I have a lot of questions. So I'd like to listen to other people, because I think it's like a puzzle piece. If you just like threw down like a 1,000,000-piece puzzle. And so I have strategy when I go and I talk to experiencers and I find out things. But there's a lot of things that are very similar with us. Like, I mean, you can go, it's just unbelievably bizarre, some of the similarities that I have found between experiencers. So, like you definitely know.
Oh, it, man, I want to get to that place. So I've been hoping, I'm kind of on the fence on, man, I'm like, do I really want to really have an experience with one of these things up close and personal like that? But then I kind of do, just to get the other side of it, because yeah, I'm looking from the perspective of a human sitting down here on Earth, being visited by some strange beings. And with that being said, it it goes deep. But like you said, I mean, just like someone mentioned in the chat a moment ago, like the missing 411s, and then so when you get into that, then then everything turns on its head as far as some people's perspective on why it is that they're here, and it just really opens up a lot more questions, which is actually good, because that's what the things that we end up talking about here. Excuse me. But I want to look and see, because I know these people in the chat definitely have some great outlooks and input.
The Dubster, the voices in my head are giving me a headache. That's awesome.
Look, and she also says the aliens think we're cray. Okay.
Yeah. They're probably not wrong. Yeah.
They think we are, and yeah, they're probably not. And let's see. ALDE, do you think the nice ones are ET and the bad ones are fake government made up, like Dr. Greer says? That's a good question. How do you feel about Dr. Greer and his perspective on these things and why they're here? Like, how do you
Dr. Greer and his free energy. Like, I give him props because he's not back down on any of this. But if you look into his history, a lot of it doesn't make any sense. And he was a part of you can go back. There's like an original crew that was a part of the Rockefeller Initiative and that big push that went back then. So I don't really trust him. He's definitely, but he's got some, I mean, he's been able to obtain some pretty great documents, but nobody, like I said, you can go on there and look on his site and he's got them all. If you go on Stephen Bassett, on his, he's got all of this stuff too. He's got news article after news article after news article. So it's like people know that they're here, and it's like, okay, so all right, our government says that ET is here tomorrow, right? So then what? They're not going to just start flying in. Like, they'd be doing that already. And when you have an experience, it's not here. It's like you're on their time and in their place. It's not the same place that like we reside. And in one of my experiences, I watched the stove and the microwave and this other clock, and they blinked like 5 times, and then boom, it was like 40 minutes later. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is that? All about. But there, when I transitioned back, there was like seconds of pure nothingness, like pure void. And then boom, I was back in my living room. So I don't know.
Have you personally had because I feel I'm under the feeling that some of these ETs are malevolent, some are benevolent. What do you feel about that? Do you think there's
Absolutely.
both sides to that?
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that we're down here, our galactic family, like I don't think that they can get to us necessarily. I don't know if it's due to the contamination. Like that always has stayed with me. I made like vlogs. They're not public. I had to take down due to like, oh my God. I was attacked. So I already went through all that, I feel like. I leaked some documents that I shouldn't have. But I don't believe in secrets. I believe truth is the only way that we're going to get through this. I mean, truth is the only, I mean, people are just, it's like dumbing everybody down right now. They're getting, and so confusing. It's like, why are they doing this? Like it's all comes down to duality. Okay, well, we are going to give you evidence that this definitely happened, but then we're going to give you this that it may not have happened. You know what I'm saying? It's always a two-way. There's never like clear, concise, like, hey, when you think that they'd be thinking of what do we do next? Like, what's our next step? I mean, nobody has any protocol for it. The only one that's gotten it, NASA. Well, trust NASA. They were taking it for a while. I know Robert Bigelow had it. Nobody really even knows what that's all about. I mean, our black budget projects are black, and that's a problem. We should all be keeping an eye on that and trying to find out a little bit more information on that, because I think the technology that we currently hold, who knows if it's a battle between AI and ET at this point. I mean, we have no idea the progression of technology that they keep from us. And they have it. I mean, all this stuff is, been done before, but we're just finding out about it. Now we've got all these different outlets that we can look into. But then, we got to decide what's what. But there's always nuggets of truth. And I really think that the experiencers, a lot of us I did for a very long time, got stuck in those experiences. Like, I got to make sense of this. Okay. I have to know why they showed me the fool's card, or why they showed, I mean, like just different things. Like I was like, they told me I'm here for communication. So I'm going to tell everybody, like my neighbors, my mom, my parents, they would beg me not to do. My friends would be like, please don't go into the gas station and do it. I'm like, nope, we're asking people, we're finding out, So I was very open about it in the community, but they still don't like talking about it. Even when they see me, it's like they'll go around it like the U.F.O, So I think this whole thing has come to a point that it's like once they dangle something in front of you, like the carrot in front of you long enough, you just don't care as much. And I hate to see that passion, because I've got that passion still. I love to see people get that fired up again, and to bring this topic and to tell their experiences, and relate and connect with other experiencers, because for everybody this isn't so easy. Like when it would happen, I had a buddy, I wish he was on here tonight. He sometimes will come in the chat, but I had a buddy, he like reached out because he knew like how it felt for the next few days until you were able to make sense out of it. I mean, it jars you. It jars your every being, and it changes you at your core. And it's a journey. It just doesn't happen like that. It's a journey that happens over time. So I think if you do, I mean, you don't have to walk down that road. Like I knew, and I was well aware and warned. If you're gonna go and you're walking down that road of truth, you're gonna walk most of it alone, and it is subjective. A lot of it is subjective. But we can pick through that. At least we're telling our stories of truth, and we're not just getting this, oh, well, the government's got a whistleblower that says they're going to give us this, but, who knows? Now we're going to take Gresh and, do everything that they do to people that even try and come out, or if they say something or know something. I mean, they are no joke when they start to come after you, and the harassment. It is no joke at all. So, I mean, obviously, I was offered going back an NDA, and they said that I was in the privy, that I knew something, and that if I would agree to send the NDA, that they would tell me and tell me what I knew. So they wouldn't tell me exactly what piece of information exactly was intriguing to them, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't sign away my silence. So I'll never know, but I didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean it's a mess, man. And I swear, when you look at, there's so many different perspectives on this. And so what I look for in all that is I look for the common, not like what's the one common thing that everybody can come together to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be figuring out how to, so if I'd say figuring out how to do a first contact, which is not first contact for other experiences. But then that's when I call on people like that, right? So CE5 is supposed to be a thing. So CE5, okay, then you have people who say they channel these ETs. So if these are things that I consider as a direct link then to these ETs bypassing anything else. So if we're going to take the step to go forward, then I would shout out to call on people who can contact ETs, people who can CE5 these ETs, and let's sit down and then let's summon these things so we can sit down and open the dialogue. Because there's some people who individually say that they do these things or they can do these things,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't help the whole, because then that one person has their story to tell, and it's like individual stories rather than everyone being together to have the experience of,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can't summon, or, but maybe you can, or maybe someone else can. So if we get those people that can do
Mm-hmm.
that with everybody else, then we can all have that experience. I think
Yes.
that's what opens
Yes.
the door.
Yes.
So like
Yes. That's what I'm
when
saying. Like we could even set a date on here and a time for everybody just to even like throw something out there. But until we try to do these different things, I don't think, I mean, there's so much that are limited being a human, in the human experience. You can't see a full spectrum of light. We're not going into, why aren't we trying these different things like they show, trying the full spectrum goggles or trying to do this stuff together. I mean, I went through with Christos Rapal, like I said, and the tactical lights. I would love nothing more than to share that information and how I connect with them and how I mean, it literally is going out and establishing a pattern. And there, I'm telling you, in 2 weeks' time, I guarantee that I could definitely tell you and walk you through that. And it was cool because he did, and he's telling me the different tactical lights and how they do and with, they use it. So in different ones brought different ones and we tested them out. My brother and I will go out. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. But I don't necessarily think that we are going to, in our human body, like connect directly with maybe where our descendants are or why we are here. I mean, maybe this is, we're all different and connected. I'm not going to say for sure. I can just tell you what I was shown and how different it was. And I mean, nobody likes markings and stuff out of it, but I'm telling you, Rob, medically, where I was before, I just had neck surgery, and that I really feel that intervention with you, like ET and UFOs, like that I lost like half of my right side. I had to learn how to like feed myself with a spoon again. And so it was like going through all this, and ET, when I came into that, like I was so debilitated. If I were to stand up, I would like tip over. I didn't have any strength. I didn't have any of it. My hand, no feeling in it. And then after the ET experiences over I'd say about a year, I not only had what my medical doctor told me I would never, it was too far into the recovery. I wouldn't get any better. And my balance, and I'm doing things that like I couldn't do, when I was younger. So I take it as a trade-off. There's always like that trade-off.
That's good to hear. I mean, that's good to hear. And like I say, along this journey, obviously, this is our first show together. So, the audience is seeing as witnessing us getting into each other's psyche
Mhm.
pretty much on this first show. So I appreciate everybody participating in this, because this is gonna be what helps us going forward. Now, I want to point out a couple things, because a YouTube user, just a YouTube user, is saying common courtesy to each other for a start. Pretty hard when everyone is segregated to come together as one. And that was to what I was saying earlier. So I appreciate that comment. But I did get Amy WC totally disagreeing, no summoning, but you didn't really elaborate on that, Amy. And I really wish you would, because I would like to know exactly what you mean by that. And maybe
I'm
you
wondering if
can
it's a wording. Like when I say I don't say summonsing them, I call out to them and the
mm,
radio signal. So
okay.
summonsing, I don't know, maybe that word, kind of sounds like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
summoning something like,
Well, and I
this
mean that's
this is different.
and it's the
Definitely.
common language they use with CE5, and that's the only reason why I use it, because they say they summon. I don't know what it's
Mhm.
actually summoning. But Amy WC, we have that line, and I wish you would call in and kind of elaborate on that, because we're gonna play those in the next hour here. And Ben Eubanks, there are other entities that you can summon. We may call alien as well. Um, let's see, YouTube user. We all need a safe, unjudged, non-anxiety space to share how we feel. Right, right. That's what we have here. And let's see, for the good of all, YouTube user, you're on fire. Okay. For the good
Yeah,
of
who is
all,
the
out of the
YouTube
sad as
user?
well.
Yeah.
I know. Incognito. I would love for you to call that line 856-843-3444 YouTube user, if you want to call that number, give an opinion. We'll be playing that in the next hour. So I think that'd
Absolutely. I
be
think
awesome.
on Facebook there's a way to click on there to show if you wanna disclose who you are. But yeah,
Uh,
YouTube user, we're very interested. You got some good stuff here.
Definitely. Ben Eubanks, loving the topic. Cool stuff. Appreciate you. Okay. Amy WC brought it back in. Would agree there. There is a trade off. Okay. And let's see. Debster makes a good suggestion. Smash the like button. Let's just get these likes up. Get these likes up. Let's see. Okay. Okay. YouTube user kind of explains them summoning, bringing bad energy in, not good. Okay. Yeah. And that definitely maybe just be to the wording on that. When I mean summoning, it's just contacting, just getting their attention. Um, Dra- Draculticon says potato. Okay. Um, okay. Let's see. Any other good ones in here? All right. I actually started backing up, getting ready to run. Okay. I don't think so. Okay. Jessica S. So glad you're here with us now, Coley, and have overcame all the obstacles you have mentioned tonight. So that is
Oh,
awesome.
thanks, Jessica.
Ben
She's
Eubanks, thank
awesome.
you for bringing me to the conversation today. Yeah, definitely. This was, like I stated, this is, you watch Mr. Rob G and Nicole Coley Weber getting together on some mental gymnastics right now, and
Right.
with a lot more to come. Let's see. Okay, looks like that's all caught up. Okay. So I appreciate all the participation in the comments. So I'm gonna just run through because we have about 20 minutes here. I should be able to run through this. I had a presentation that I had done on my own show, which is the social dig, outlining just white spheres. And I kind of want to set the stage for it because there was a point in time last year where the government would not, they released a UAP report and they redacted shapes They would not tell us what shapes these things came in. For whatever reason, they held it out pretty long until this past January, where the UAP report that should have been released October 31st ended up being released in mid-January. In that UAP report, they mentioned for the first time balloon-like entities. So this is a new language at that point. Magically, 3 weeks later, we have the Chinese balloons, which were balloon-like entities. So we know that that whole thing was to muddy the waters on what UAP actually were for the people on the outside of ufology, to say, okay, UAP must be these balloons and not UFOs or flying saucers and things of that nature. I wanted to point out as well that Sean Kirkpatrick, in the meeting with Kirsten Gillibrand in the hearing, actually kind of went further into these balloon-like entities, and being that a lot of the objects that they had examined that are still unidentified are white, translucent, or silver sphere-like objects. So with that being said, I had a sighting last August, and what I'll tell you, what I observed with my naked eye, and I'm going to try to run through this real quick, were these white spheres. Literally, they were white. They weren't perfectly round. They were kind of oblong a little bit, but there were 47 of these at one time, and they had these black, I call them pipe-like objects only because that's what the only thing I could think of. But they each individually had these black objects sticking down out of the bottom of them. They floated directly overhead, and I could see with my naked eye they were that close. And these things, all 47 of them, clear blue sky here in California, 12 in the afternoon, sun high noon, all 47 of these things disappeared into thin air. They floated across, got to about the 1 o'clock position, clear blue sky, no clouds to obfuscate, and they all disappeared at one time. Reported this thing to MUFON, and so that's still an ongoing investigation there. But I wanted to kind of point this out because I felt like it referenced this quote that we see here. There's a fleet of them, and they're all going against the wind. So this would have been the gimbal sighting, where they said the one object we saw, but off camera, there was an entire fleet of these things and they were going against the wind. So pretty much mimics what I saw. So let me go ahead and flip through this real quick. Gimbal here. So common shapes, they had that redacted before. And the reason why I think they did that, which I put here, is wonder why the shapes were redacted. And I said, because if they showed us, we'd realize we had been seeing these things all along. And I think that's the truth. So now once they say spheres, once they finally came out and admitted that these things are spheres, then all of a sudden now we realize we've seen these things in a bunch of different situations, and a lot of people have seen these. So flipping through this was what Kirkpatrick showed in the hearing with Gillibrand, that 47%, if you see in the upper right corner of these things, are orb round spheres. And if you look in the middle here, the colors were white, silver, translucent. So we know about the Mosul orb that was silver, and then other spheres that they've shown on video, which are silver. But what I want to point out to you, I just want to point out the fact that these are actual anomalous things that we're seeing. And I actually caught these on camera. So if you look at these, and I don't know how well you can, I think I'll zoom in on this here and I'll have a video to play as well. But if you look at these things were, you can see in this image right here, the black pipe-like object thing sticking out of the bottom. These things were floating across the sky. First, let me start at the beginning. So I'm here in the studio doing some work. My girl is outside on the phone talking, and then she just comes in here and she says, "You should come out here and check this out." And I could just tell in her voice that it was something crazy. I was like, "What is it?" She wouldn't say. So I go out there to look, and these things that you see right here were in a ball. They were in a ball, and they were just like almost like mosquitoes and kind of just intermingling with each other in the ball. And I'm like, those are probably birds. They were off in the distance. She was like, nah, no, I don't think so, because the sun is shining off these things. They seem to be metallic, and some of them are disappearing as they do that. And I sat there and watched for another moment. I was like, okay. Ran in the house, grabbed my camera. By the time I came back, these things were flying overhead in a formation, and they flew directly overhead, right? So they're flying in this V formation like you see here, but they're like moving forward and progressing ahead of each other and coming back and doing these sorts of things. So flipping through this, because I want to get this quick. This was a zoomed out view, because I wanted to make sure that I got a zoomed out view for reference, and then zoom back in. I have a close-up picture here. That's just an object going across the screen. So this is the image close up. This is the zoomed in. So you can see these things are just like, what are they, right? With the naked eye, these things are round objects, kind of oblong a little bit. I didn't see in these pictures, you can see a black thing sticking out the top. I couldn't see that originally. I can only see that each one of these things had a black thing sticking out the bottom, all 47 of these objects. In the video, you can see like one or two of these things disappear as the video progresses. The whole video lasts maybe a minute and 30 seconds before they completely disappear in the sky. So I'm going to go ahead and end up playing that for you in just a moment. This is even closer. So you tell me what that is. You tell me what that thing is. You tell me what that is. Okay. That is not anything prosaic. That is not a balloon. That is not a drone. That is not a bird. Okay. These things disappeared completely into thin air, all 47 of them. And because they disappeared, it leads me to believe that they were not man-made, like some secret government situation. And these things were flying right over a city in broad daylight at 12 noon. Okay, 12 noon. 108 degrees this day. And let me see here on the flip through. Okay, here's a similar sighting. This was a similar sighting back in 2020 in Oakland, California, where, and I'm going to play the video, but the person says these things uh, are weird. Like I don't see any flapping wings. I don't see any, these things are just floating across the sky. You'll end up hearing that in a moment. This was the New Fork. This was the New Fork. Oh, Deb gave super chat. Thank you, Deb. This is the New Fork website, if you're familiar with that. So what I did was I went online to determine if there were any other things like this that had ever been reported. And I found a couple of things. I found this from 2022, Sherman Oaks, California. And this is what they look like from afar. This is what they look like zoomed in. If you can see, some of these things have the black thing at the bottom and at the top, but it's not protruding as far out. So on this next app, this is mine. So this is just the close-up image showing that these are the same objects. Okay, this was funny enough. My sighting was October 28, 2022. This was one day after my sighting in the state of Colorado, Aurora, Colorado. As you can see in the bottom left corner, these are the exact same objects. This is what they look like zoomed in. This is more representative. So the objects I filmed were also reported and seen 2 or 3 states over from where I'm at the very next day in Aurora, Colorado. These are not birds. These are not drones. These are not balloons. But what I do believe these are the balloon-like entities or the white sphere objects that they're reporting in the UAP report. So with that being said, the government has full knowledge of whatever these things are. They've seen these things because these are the things that they're considering to be unknown. So with that being said, okay, so that was the end of that slide. So let me remove that because I have a couple of videos to play real quick. This was MUFON. This was MUFON's video. Let me play this here. This is reported in their MUFON files. We're going to end up seeing the same objects.
All those UFO sightings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I believe God's. I mean, you know, the Earth. You know, the Bible describes God
These
created
objects that I filmed,
plural, and the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not even sure where this is. Said in the beginning, I'm not sure where this is at. But these things are flying around in our skies right now, every day. I've been able to. Let me remove that. I've been able to show these things all around the world. Here's another sighting in MUFON's database.
Whoa, that is. It's like a constellation. What the fuck?
Hurry, bring your binoculars. There's hundreds of them out here. Hurry.
Okay, where are you? In the
Backyard, right now.
They had hundreds of them. I had 47 at one time.
Dude, you see, I see stuff
Text
like that.
text Dad. Tell him to look up. Or what the heck?
Your dad, he don't even...
And then here's another one here.
12092.
Let me fast forward through that.
Possibly thousands of orbs repeatedly flying through the sky. All of them were flying together peacefully, making no sound. What was also seen were two larger ships, possibly motherships, pulsating rapidly amongst them. Take a look at the video we have on this.
These are the exact same white orb objects. YouTube user, these are all over the world. I'm going to actually show you some where there were hundreds and hundreds in Mexico.
Yeah, I seen it.
These same objects.
That's a plane.
I've seen them. I've had twice. I've encountered three, but possibly 3 times. It's crazy.
These sorts of objects here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've talked about it on other shows. I can pull like audio where you can hear me say it. There's like hundreds of them. Yeah, it's crazy. I thought we were being invaded for sure.
And that's the second large thing.
These are not man-made crafts. So what I'm telling you guys is that these are definitely, they're blurry on your end. Yeah, they're kind of blurry here too. So
at least 150.
The point that I'm making here is that those, and actually I have another one I need to show to you as well to kind of take it home. And this is going to be part of the video that I did on my channel, The Social Dig. This is part of episode 30, White Spheres in the Sky. And this is where I kind of lay it out here. So let me tell you, because I saw these with my naked eye, right? So these, let me get to okay, these are the ones that were in New York. So these were okay, but let me get into this video here. This video shows hundreds, and we had to cut the sound on this and believe it had some music for that we either got blocked for copyright. But I'm going to show you here. So you remember the image I showed you of mines, right? With the black object sticking out the bottom. So in one of these frames, you're going to see the exact same thing on one of these objects. Check this out.
I remember this video, I think, from...
They had a few different sightings in
this
Mexico.
was from that ufologist whose first name is Jaime, and I forget his last name, right? Yeah.
Right, I believe so, yes. Now look at this. You're going to see the black object sticking out of the top and the bottom of, look at that. So you can see the black object sticking out on these objects as well. These are the same exact objects, right? So we're talking about this is 2012. My sightings 2022. There was another video in Mexico that I could not find that was from 2004. Exact same objects. So
They're moving in the same way. If you notice, they
they're
kind of
moving.
bob around, that making you think they're like balloons, but they're still independent.
Now, this is some of the things I wanted to point out because at a first glance, if you're just out walking around, I mean, obviously with this number, you're going to probably, I hope, take a second look. But in most cases, if there's 2 or 3, you're going to look up, you're like, oh, that's probably a balloon, and you're not going to think anything further. But you couldn't be further from wrong about that, though. See, there's been a lot of times, I'm sure, with these things that people have looked up and did not pay any attention to it. Now, when we get to my sighting, I saw these things disappear into thin. All right, let me skip through this a little
And then
bit.
the tether stretched out, maybe.
This thing that's advanced. Let's try to get this to before the break here. All right. Okay, here we go. That's what I'll do. Let me hold that there because the video I know is going to take us past the break. So let me just pause that because I want you guys definitely just to see that before we jump into the last part. So yeah, so we're going to show that after the break. But yeah, so my whole point is, and the reason, and it's a great watch. If you guys want to watch this on my channel, Social Dig, and it's episode 30, White Spheres in the Sky, where I kind of catalog this entire situation. And also, I have a MUFON video over there as well, where I include the MUFON videos that we just viewed. But making the case that these white spheres that they're talking about in these UAP reports are these same objects that I filmed and that obviously other people have filmed all around the world. So, not birds, not drones, not balloons, but these white spheres. And I had this sighting prior to them even admitting any of this. So, the moment that the moment that they came with that report and finally admitted what these shapes were, then it all clicked in my mind. It further solidified what I had already known. Because first of all, what can cause these things to disappear in the thin air in the clear blue sky? Just that's unexplainable.
Mm-hmm.
But you will see my video where when I catch it on frame, the last moment that I catch it on frame, you can count literally 1, 2, 3 seconds later. I'm like, where did they go? They're gone. They're completely gone. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so this real time tracking. But
I've
that's what we'll do.
experienced them too. I've experienced many, many, many. And it even goes a step further. I woke up with a map on my leg. So I'll kind of explain some of that next. It totally connects with, I've seen them. I can go back and pull audio of where I've talked about I call them light balls, but light spheres. Yeah. Hundreds.
So
I mean, you're standing there and they're all, it's like they all are different. Like they all are, what they are. You know what I mean? Like they all have some level of like intelligence. Is all I can
and
say.
and it sounds like Coley knows exactly what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these
I
things
mapped
aren't from
out
here.
where they came from. No way.
They aren't from here. And so the media outlets and they look for all these they keep looking at these gimbal videos and things like that. When all they need to do is watch this episode that I did, episode 30, White Spheres in the Sky, and they'll
They
see. But
watched it. They
for
watched
right
it.
now, It's time to pause for the cause with the last break of the night as we get ready to
Oh,
jump into hour 3 on Spaced Out Radio, where we will probably also hear from some of our viewers in the viewers voice
Ooh.
segment. So we'll play this video, we'll get back, and then we'll get into the viewers voice. So we'll be right back.
Yeah, you should
Be
post
right
that number again so they can maybe oil on break. Great.
Yep, we'll do it right now on break. We'll be right back,
Awesome.
guys. All right. And welcome back to Spaced Out Radio After Hour number 3 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and Nicole Coley Weber. We're going to go ahead and take the final hour to take a look real quick at the UFO sighting video. Then we're going to get into the much anticipated viewer's voice because we want to hear your voice. And we have some viewers that have actually left some messages, and I can't wait to actually hear them. Some of these viewers, think you might know well. Maybe some mods actually called in and left some messages. But we have a few that we're definitely going to listen to. So within about 5 minutes, we'll be listening to our viewers' voice. So let me go ahead and finish what we were doing here. Just show you the video of the sighting and kind of just further solidify. I'll wrap it up at the end here. So let me go ahead and press play on this, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, this is my sighting here. You hear somebody in the back say they think it's birds, but it definitely isn't. This is my sighting here. You hear somebody in the back say they think it's birds, but it definitely isn't. No, them ain't birds. No, they're not. Dude, those are not birds. No way though. Where they go? Completely gone. Can't see. Okay. All right, TR. Where? Completely gone. Exactly. If they're birds, where they go, Kiari? I don't know what that was. Kiari, those are birds. Where did they just go? Nah, ain't no maybe. You would, dude. You would still see them, dude. The thing that was crazy was when I had first seen them, they were shining. It was like that's what caught my eye. It was like they were shining, and then they disappeared.
Yeah, because they are flying kind of weird. They don't even look right, huh? No. Damn, they look hella weird. I don't see no wings flapping, man. Do you see wings flapping?
In every sighting, people think they're birds initially until they look closer and realize that they're not. In every sighting, people think they're birds initially until they look closer and realize that they're not. Where? Exactly. They're birds when they go to your Kiari. Those are birds. Where did they just go? Shout out Dogface. Nah, ain't no maybe. Dude, you still see them, dude. Okay, so here we go. So that's it. That's the sighting right there. That's it. Explain to me how those things disappear into thin air. Explain to me what those things were. You saw the shape of these things. You saw these black pipe like things sticking out of that. Please tell me how, please just point me in the direction of what else that could be. I put it out on Twitter because I wanted all the skeptics to look at it and tear it apart, give me their suggestions. Some said birds. We went through birds and didn't line up with anything. Plus, they didn't have flapping wings, as the other guy said in the other video. So my whole point is that you may look up and see something. They were obviously flying, or you saw them in a V formation, but they were like moving like this. Now, if you were to look up tomorrow and see some objects up there in the V formation, your first mind is going to be, oh, those are birds. And you're not even going to pay any other close attention to what you just saw. So the point with that being is that this would, these things are up there. And if you take a second look, you might realize that these things are actually more than what you thought they were at first. So you said you seen some things like this, Coley.
Yeah, I did. The first time I saw them, they were higher. It was up in the daytime. And I just stood there. I just stood there. I'm like, we're being invaded. Like that. I just saw them coming. And there's a certain formation I started to notice. The second time I saw them, they were much lower and it was at night. And then the third time I saw them, I was out, and I'll even pull this. I have vlogs from when I first was experiencing all this, and I feel like I was really naive then, so I took them off. But you'll hear me talk about these light bulbs, and I'm like, so I'm standing out there, right, and I'm looking up in the trees, and there's a ton of them. I don't know how many. It felt like 100, So, or more. So then I looked off. It would have been off to my left side, and there were a green one and either a red one and a blue. I think it was a red and a blue one, and they were lower, right? And I remember saying, "There are a lot of you," and it echoed like 3 times. And then they were like playful ones in the tree. But then the night creeper, right? He's the one that comes down. So he's coming straight at me, and it's like a big ball of electricity. And I'm like, I can't get on that. So I run inside my house, and my friend was there. I was like, hey, do me a favor. Will you look out the window and just make sure I don't go anywhere? Or just make sure like I'm not like out there electric and envisioning one of those cartoons where you can see the person's like, so I went back out there and I stood out there for as long as I could. As that got, he came right back out, and he's creeping and creeping and creeping. And I had, at that point, I had to exit because I was like, there's no way that I'm getting anywhere near that ball of electricity and coming out alive. You know what I mean? But they were interacting, like they're playful, they were fun. So then I wrote down, it was kind of a bad, and I can even show you the pictures. I found them when I was talking about it because I thought that was so strange that you had that. And then I've experienced them. I've seen them, and they're I'm moving, like, I mean, they're not interrupted by any stretch of your imagination. So I don't know how to exactly put words on it, but they are. I really think that they are, some of them, and then I've also seen like UFOs break off into the light balls too and bust off, and they're gone. So I don't know. I have a couple pictures. I would definitely like, if I can pull them up really quick, your intake on them, because
Yeah.
this is where I know a lot of people. Yeah, I have to find other appropriate ones. So I wrote this down. I'm not sure how I share here.
Is it, if it's on your computer, hit present at the bottom of the screen? Is it on a web page or?
No, it's my own Google like photos that I have, which I can just put up to you. I don't know. I can send them to you and see if you know. But yeah, I drew this star map on my, like, a piece of paper. Like, I was keeping all these like notes and documentation of where this was and how, like, what the star lineup was for it. And it ended up, I did that in December, and it ended up in July on my leg. I'm not even joking. It was like on my leg. Like, I was like, so it's stuff like that. Like, like confirmation, like it's unbelievable. Like, what would you even say to that? But I do have. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, and this is the part that this is the part that is going back to what we talked about earlier with how I feel about how this is playing out with the government and all this and that. So it's obvious in all those videos that you saw, there were, in mine's 47, in some of the other videos, there were hundreds of these things flying through the air. I don't believe that those things had any beans inside of them. I believe that there was like some sort of probes or something like that. But here's the thing. Why were there so many of them? Why are they brazen enough to just fly through the sky in the middle of broad daylight? The government showing that they came out and said that they have these white spheres and orbs they don't understand, then they definitely have seen the things I just showed you. So what is the purpose of these things? Are they harmful to us? Are they doing some sort of mapping or surveillance of things on the ground? And is it something we should be worried about is really the question. Like, if these things could fly right over my head in the middle of the day, there's not any military in sight to stop anything from happening, then what are we subject to on a day-to-day basis with these things literally flying around everywhere? I showed you in Mexico. They're all around the world, these things. And it's like, we know they're not man-made at all. We know, but the one thing that I like, in Tim Senor, I showed, oh, you got that? Okay, you're sharing the screen. Cool. Okay, so one thing, Tim Senor looked at this, and one thing that we both agreed on is these things they seem like they're alive, like they have some sort of life to them. You know what I mean? And they understand that
Mm-hmm.
they need to mimic things on the ground. So they and we know those bird formations, we fly in those formations with our jets and things like that. We know that there's a such thing as biomimicry in nature, and so it wouldn't be so far off for a ET to get here, see the things that we're doing, and then mimic those patterns and mimic those things. NASA, and so it's just one thing that we need to think about, consider, just understand those things you saw are just flying at will through these skies, and the government is just not doing anything about it. They're putting them in a report,
Mm-mm.
but they're not doing anything to protect us from whatever these things might be. So, with that being said, were you able to show it, Coley?
You know, when I did it, it's showing this side. I don't know how to pull my photos up. Because are you able to see? If I do it this way, are you able to see?
If it's on your Google Photos page, then
Mm-hmm.
go to present at the bottom and then click share screen, and then you should be able to pick that particular page out of the list.
Okay,
So,
here we go.
and then it should show just your Google Photos page.
Okay, so I'll take you through. Here's some of them that I've seen, like just to kind of threw it together. But going into here, if you can see, are you able to see this?
Yeah.
Or am I just okay? So you can see right here where I drew the map, and this is going back where I saw them. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I literally in July, I end up with the star map on my leg. Well,
Yo,
somebody then sends me yeah, crazy, right? And somebody sends me this like of the Pleiadians, and then I kind of turned it, and it if you look at it in different directions, it matches, so I don't know the connection
crazy.
to all this. Yeah, but that showed up on my leg, and it was after all the encounters with the white spheres. So I mean, like some of the stuff that I've seen, like if you look, I'll have to see where I'm at on this one. uh some of these, I mean, they don't, it's not like a craft, it's almost like a biological, like I don't know. I have no clue how they change shape. They change, a lot of times. I mean, this is one of my favorite. I hope I can pull this up. But these guys, these are the triangles that if you look at them, I know I don't know if there's a better way to do this, but they're the ones that came down on the ground. Right here, you can see. Switch over and make sure right here, this one. But yeah, I have video footage, and it's obviously it's bad because it's going back a few years, but it shows it that he beat us at our own game. Like he came right down on the road and like swerved and then was off. So a lot of times, and I do have pictures of, like, when you say it, just kind of like, oh my gosh, all the similarities. Like, yeah. I was gonna pull up the ones with the dots, like you were seeing I'm not sure if those are kind of, they were off of, it was a really weird trail, and these ended up coming off of it. I don't know if you can see these right here. There's like a almost like just like a pancake shape, and it is not
Yeah.
that far
Yeah.
from me. I'm not that far from it. So they're not always as big as what we think they are, and they're not always as, like, whatever, like we expect them to be. But yeah, definitely. And I also want to find one more because I really want to get your input on this one,
And
because
Neil
this
Ward
one
says,
is
surely,
this one
Nicole, that
throws
star
me.
map on your leg is sending you a message.
But what do you think it is? Is it like, you know what I mean? Like, I have to pull up the other album. Um, but what do you think that means? Like, what exactly would that
I
mean? It's
agree
like,
that there's something to that. There has to be. That's not that's there is no mistaking that. I mean, that it's the
mm-mm.
exact same thing. So maybe they're saying that's where they come from. Maybe saying that's where you come from, or that's going to be hard to say. But they're definitely tying you to that star system. They want you to know something about that star system, and then whatever that is. And yeah, Neil said same thing. Maybe you are from that star system, yeah, or they are. One of the two.
Mhm. See, I always like the Pleiadians. I've always in the experiences that I had like through more meditation, it was more like I was connected to the Sierrans, but I don't know. Like I can tell you that what I saw, like this planet that I was on, and it was like orange, and you looked out, and it was very different than what we would have here. But I think that many experiencers. I'd love to hear what chat thinks too. Like if you've had an experience, like you almost miss them. You have such you build a connection and a bond, and I think they build that with you too. I think it's reciprocal, definitely reciprocal. But
That's
for what
awesome
reason?
though.
Yeah, I mean,
Totally.
you do though. Like I used to call them. I'd go out. I get so excited to see them, and I'd be running out. I'd be like, ah! In my whole neighborhood. I'd have all the neighbors, and like they thought I was the kooky lady, but they saw it for themselves. And a lot of them are like, maybe you're doing too much, or you're looking too far, or you shouldn't see some of this. Like maybe this, and because they were seeing it too. So I don't know. I don't know how people deny it, and then people are worried. Oh, like the men in black are coming for them, or whatever. We've all had. If you're in this, you've definitely had weird experiences happen. They definitely do try and like freak you out in different ways, but the push for truth and to find out, what happened to me. I feel like that's my birthright. So that's what keeps me going in this. Definitely.
I'm with you. Look, I haven't. I feel that. I feel exactly what it is that you conveyed here with showing. That there's no denying it. That's freaky, crazy, weird for something like that to happen.
Mhm.
And then all of the sightings that you have on film there, a lot of them, and then my sightings, and these are authentic things, guys. And there's a
Mhm.
lot of people out there who go their whole lives without having any experience at all,
Right.
and then to be blessed to be in a position to have had that experience, it being on that other side of it, it just, I can't even explain how that feels. And you, there's no questioning what I just saw with you, and then there's no questioning what I just laid out
Mhm.
here.
Right.
So the only other thing that we have to go is to see what it is that the viewers think. And love you, love. Hey, Robin Coley, I'm gonna listen later. Can't chat driving. You missed a good one. It's gonna be a good rewatch. We kind of went deep on this one, and so what we're gonna do now, love you, love. If you get to listen, you get to listen to some of your peers go ahead and talk about some of their experiences. So we do have a few here that we can play and then maybe talk about them for the next 30 minutes here. So the first one, you think we should start with the Debster? Should we say, what do you
Yeah.
think?
I
You want
love
to
it.
start?
I
Want to
don't know if we
start with
should
the
start or
Debster?
end with it. I don't
I
know. It's so
know, I
good.
know. So let's no, we'll end with the Debster. Just Debster is Debster. Debster is Debster.
I love it. I
What
love
we'll
it.
do, and I'm unsure who this user is. It might be Susie B. I'm not quite sure. But this is one of your peers here in the chat who called our line once again, and I'll just put it up for those who may consider calling after this. This is the line that was called, and let me go ahead and play our first message from our viewer's voice. And here we go.
Hello, Mr. Rob G and Spaced Out Radio. I have a UFO sighting when I was 10 years old. My first sighting ever. I went to bed, and when I woke up, I was in the schoolyard, standing in a tree, looking up at the sky, and there was a UFO spinning with a bunch of lights, all different colors, and it was shaped like an octagon. The center of it was spinning, And that's my very first UFO experience. I don't remember getting home or even leaving the house or even getting out of bed or even getting back into bed. That's my first UFO encounter. Thanks, Rob G. Woo! S.O.R.
I
That
love
is
it.
so awesome. Is that Susie B? Can I get Susie B? Because I didn't get a name. Was that Susie B? I think I see it. You got it. Is that Susie B? Susie, confirm. So we can put a name to that story.
I just saw her
Yes.
in the
Okay,
chat
that is
too. Yeah.
Susie B, last week's champ of the S.O.R trivia, giving her first UFO sighting. So, and I'm sure there's many more where that came from. So, Susie, we would love to hear more and more and more about
Oh yeah.
other experiences that you've had. So, with that being said, we have a couple of others here, and you guys don't be afraid to. Paranormal Pixie said, "Who was that? Who was that? That was Susie B." Our very own Susie B with her experience. Laura
No,
Dominguez says,
Susie, don't be embarrassed. That was awesome, and I really want to hear more about. I'm sure if you had 1 at 10, that you've had many more. So I'd like to
and
hear more of your story.
we have let me see, we had a great suggestion by Laura Dominguez who says, let's all call in with our experiences. That's exactly what the line is for.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the viewer's voice. We want to hear everybody out there who has an experience. Call in.
Absolutely.
Call
Absolutely.
in. And right now we have let me see, we have Timmy. Let's see, Timmy Theodore. So I don't know if that's Mothman. I'm not sure, but Timmy Theodore has a sighting here, and we'll go ahead and play this one next.
Hey, space travelers, it's little Timmy Senor here, and I just had a quick question for the weekend crew. So during the week, Dave and I were talking about the social aspect of UFO. Whether you believe in it or not, it definitely has its place in society and its kind of role. And I was kind of wondering, what do you guys think about the social impact that UFO has taken on society, and especially with it being in headlines recently? Take care, S.O.R. friends and fam. See you soon.
Wait a minute. That is awesome. That is, that is awesome, man.
Woo!
Tim
Yeah.
Senor came and dropped one on us like that. You're sneaky, Tim. You're sneaky. I should have known. I should have known about the number. You're sneaky, guy. So go ahead and answer that. Coley, I'll let you go first on that. What do you feel about Tim's question there? The social
Is Tim in
impact.
the chat? I think we should pull him up here and ask him, because I have
Is
a
he?
few questions. That's not like it's open. It's an open chat. He can get on. Is he in there still?
I don't
Jimmy
know.
Seymour. And then we want you to pull it
No,
up here.
this one was he left this a little earlier.
I saw him in the chat earlier.
Couple
But I
hours.
do the social part of it. I think that I see it different and experience it different, because I mean, it wasn't really something that I wanted to tell my friends and family, like, that this is happening. And, and I went very public with it, very, very public with it. And they all watch, so they know. And, so I don't know as if, like, I think the social aspect, I don't know what it would be like from, normie. Let's say, I don't know if that's the right word, but a person who maybe hasn't experienced ET and hasn't experienced the phenomena. Like, I remember my brother saw one 2 weeks before me, and almost in the same place. And he came and told me about it. And I was like, he's like, you're never gonna believe what I saw. Like, he's going on and on. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Wow. I didn't think one way or another until I saw one for myself. And then I was like, whoa. So I don't know how to get the general public to even get excited about it and to take it seriously with everything that's going on right now, all the distractions and all, like, well, we got more important things to worry about. We don't even care if anybody's coming here. You got a lot of different people with, and I'd love to find a way to connect that. But I truthfully, I believe, like, socially and through everybody else, that the experiencers, and I think that they're learning it, that we need to connect with one another. And sometimes this isn't about, I'm not going to sit here and tell, like, in the beginning, I'm like, they're real. Okay, people, I'll take you out and I'll show you the real. And then I'm like, screw that. I'm not, excuse me, but like, I'm not going to prove to anybody anymore they're real. I know they're real. They got to figure that out for themselves. I want to know what's next. So I started going and to the people that were experiencing it and asking them, like, what to do and how. But I think that if we can do this together, we can make a social movement, maybe get people interested in the phenomena, even though they may not have experienced it, because they're missing that piece. So that's where I'd like to ask Timmy Seymour a few more questions about it, on how he sees it. Because it's hard for me to do that.
And we'll end up having him. He's open to it, so we'll be able to bring him on and just pick his brain. So we'll do it. We'll get him in here live. So, and I guess the way I would look at that is, I agree with a lot of things you just said, Coley. And it's socially, because society is the way that it is, and the dollar drives everything. You have a lot of people who are just stuck in tunnel vision, in a bubble, focused on how to pay their next bill, how to if they're going to get fired this week from work. So they have so many other things on their mind that I don't think, just on the surface of it, that they would even be able to allow themselves to be open to what is actually going on. There's a lot of people like us who understand what's going on and have experienced things that are kind of holding this. But I think the job to do is, if we want to bring those people in from the outside who may just start being curious on looking into this, to get the truth on what's going on, is to provide a comfortable, safe space for them to come and have the conversation, sort of like we're doing tonight, where there isn't one person leaning too far one way. It's an open-minded conversation where somebody who wants to kick some ideas around, could come away with an understanding. As long as we provide that space, when they do take the time or get the time to be able to come have the conversation, then they'll be open to some of the things that we're talking about. And then once we do that, then what I really think we need to do is we need to mobilize, because just as someone said in the chat earlier, and I've said myself as well, there's too much segregation in ufology. So we need to actually bring everyone together, even currently, all these different camps and individuals together, so we can move as one unit, and then we can enlighten the rest of humanity. And so that's some of what you said as well.
Absolutely.
But that would be the answer to Tim Seymour's question, since he snuck that one in there.
Yeah,
Through
Timmy.
the message line. But with that being said, I'm hoping we get some other ones coming through, because we're about to go to one right now from our very own the Debster.
I
And
gotta
the
mute this. I'm gonna
Debster,
lie.
the Debster had a little treat for you guys. The Debster cares about you guys and wanted to share something with you. And I think it's really coming, it's really heartfelt. And I really think that you guys will resonate with this. So let's go ahead and let me bring up the Debster. This is the Debster.
Well, hi, Rob G. This is the Debster calling. Deb from Sacramento. I actually do have a story, but it's really more someone else's story than mine. It's a joint story. This is a secret. I'm coming out of the closet tonight, you guys. It's a secret I've been holding for over 20 years. I actually know Skinny Bob is real because I found Skinny Bob 20 years ago up in the Sierras. I brought him home here and adopted him, took care of him. I've taught him a little bit of English over the years, but mostly we communicate with each other telepathically. but he can speak a little bit of English, and he did want to speak tonight. He is not aged at all. He's as healthy. Well, he was emaciated and sick when I found him, but now he's healthy and thriving. He has been. He has not aged a day. He's still very young. I don't think they age much. And he is the last survivor of his race. And so he was the last one. Their ship crashed here, and he was the last one. And he hasn't been able to telepathically find any survivors from his race. So anyway, he wanted to say hello and say a few things tonight. I'm going to give him a microphone, and then I'll be back to say goodnight. Go ahead. The mic's open. You can. It's okay. He's a little nervous. Go ahead.
Hi. Skinny Bob. Dubster is Mama. And Skinny Bob. I eat good food. They feed me lasagna, pizza, taco. Oh, yum. Bob. No, Skinny Bob, no more. Dubster, my mama. I love food. I love mama. I love her. I say hello. I love cats. I love to eat cats.
No, don't talk about the cats. Go stand in the corner. We agreed. I'm sorry, you guys. Yeah, unfortunately, I found out the hard way. They do love to eat cats. So unfortunately, when I first brought him home, he did eat my 2 cats. So if you ever see a gray in your yard, shoo them off and get rid of them because they do love to eat cats. They're worse than coyotes. But okay, if you like, come back. She wants to say goodnight real quick. But anyway, that's our story. We're out of the closet. That's my big secret. He actually has been working with me on my remote viewing. Go ahead. Let's say goodnight. Good night, everyone. Go ahead. So Skinny Bob and I wanted to say goodnight. I think we might have gotten cut off. So good night, space travelers. Skinny Bob, do you want to say goodnight? He does. He's so excited to be able to talk to other Earthlings for a change. Here you go. Go ahead. Go ahead and talk.
Skinny Bob says, good night, space people, space travelers, Earthlings, and the universe. I'm so happy to talk to all of you tonight. And good night.
Okay, so that's it. We are out. Good night, everyone.
Debster is an all-star. Debster is the MVP for leaving that message. And we appreciate you. And we are glad that Skinny Bob is safe in the hands of the Debster, because what better hands to be in than the Debster? Debster, Area 51. Exactly. Come on now. That was amazing. Debster. Wait, we got all these comments. Bill Wharton, Debster, you're ace.
Yeah, I loved it.
LMAO. Debster, stay safe. Good night, Alf. Where's Debster at? Where's Debster at? I know she's there. Derek, sounding like a drunk midget chipmunk. That might be how Skinny Bob sounds. What do we say? Black Dragon, love it, Debster. Dakotakon, hashtag free Skinny Bob, Debster, free Skinny Bob. Susan Place, Debster, that was great. Amy WC, that was Deb. LOLOL. That was definitely the Debster. Debster says Skinny Bob says hi and he loves y'all. We love it. We love it. JSCO77. Good night, Skinny Mama. Surfer, Alf, Alien Life Form, Susie B. Ha 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 ha. I'm not sure what to say. LOL. She went all in. We love Debster for that. I mean, come on, guys. The line is open. The line is open. The line is open. What more can I say? The line is open. The Debster. LOL. Dear Galloway, hello, my name is Bob. Take me to your dealer. The Debster. LOL. Susan Allen,
That was
Debster's creature
good. That was
feature. It
good.
was excellent. I cracked
Yeah.
up. I cracked
Oh
up
my gosh.
laughing when I heard that.
Oh.
Coley, I played it for Coley, and she died. She died
I
before the show.
wasn't sure till I heard the cats, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is
I
great.
was like,
This
Coley, we're
is
gonna play
great."
this. We're gonna play this
Yeah.
during
Oh
the
yeah.
show. Okay.
Bravo to the Debster for
Look,
that
the
one.
ferret.
That
How
was
can
good.
anyone top that? I'm trying to find out.
I
I'm
don't
trying to
know
find
if we
out.
can.
I want
I don't
somebody
know.
to try to top that.
Yeah.
Susan Alloway, that is a hard act to follow. Laura Dominguez wants to know, what you call for open line. So let me just put the number back up here again. Put this in your phone. This is the number, and we will be doing this like often. I mean, so
Yeah, this
through
is a
through
great
the week,
idea.
you will compile these messages from you guys, and then we'll be playing them. So unfortunately, we didn't have too many. I know sometimes you have to break the ice, and I definitely think Deb did a great job breaking the ice.
Yeah, I loved
Put
it.
this phone number in your phone, 856-843-3444 or 856-THE-DIG. Definitely do it. I know there's many people who have had experiences and sightings out there, and maybe you just want to give us a message from Skinny Bob like Debster did. And Debster, I know, has actual sightings as well, so she will be, I'm sure, calling the line back for that. So yeah, I think everybody really liked that. I thought that you guys would. I really thought that you guys would. So
I loved
Debster
it.
says, some night when we go live, Skinny Bob will take questions. Hey.
Yeah.
So Debster, since you're a trusted source, obviously, let's arrange that. I'll call you on your line, and then you can put Skinny Bob on the phone to talk to the audience, and maybe take some questions. That would be freaking awesome. So let me see. Jessica Davenport jumped in. She sure did. Debster, yes, I'll call back in the future. So we'll set that up. Yeah, because thing is that, and the reason why we're doing it like this is because on after hours, unfortunately, there's trolls out there, so we can't really take just random live calls for that very reason. But if you leave a message and the message is great, and we know who you are, that's why it's important to state your name at the beginning of the message so we know who you are from the chat. That way, we may be able potentially to call out and
I was gonna
get
say
you
that would be
guys on
great.
live. Yeah, that'd be
Do you get their
awesome. And
phone numbers when they call in, or do they
yeah,
give you your contact
yep,
information?
got
Okay,
their
cool.
numbers.
Yeah.
So Debster's
We need
number
like
is right here.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
that's
everybody
awesome.
that calls, and that's the other thing, please don't call from a block line because that's what trolls do. And
Yeah.
Crystal J says, man, trolls ruin everything. They do. But see, the mod squad here at the after hours, we call them the Troll Patrol. So they're always on the ball. And the ferret, no one knows my real name. Mwahaha. So the ferret, you just call in and say, hey, it's the ferret, and then that way we know how to lock you in. So yeah, this has been fun. I wish another message would come through. I mean, somebody has a few minutes to leave a message if you wanted to, just so you
How about
know.
Derek pick up that phone and dial?
Yeah, Derek, pick up the
I would
phone.
love to hear. Yeah.
I know Derek talks a lot and acts like he wants to come online, and he said, bring me on the show. Well, Derek, I need you to at least call the line first. Call the line, man. Let's do it. Jessica S says, great idea, Mr. Rob G. Moi Coley says U.F.O twit. Let's see.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
Susie, or the Debster, Susie B, that's awesome. He loves homemade. Skinny Bob, the myth lives on. It's gonna be the thing, Debster. You're never gonna live this one down. You're always gonna be affiliated with Skinny Bob. Skinny Bob is at the Debster's house. You guys heard it here. Area 51. Okay. I want to share my UFO story. The first one I had of many. Area 51. It's a 3-minute limit. We got 10 minutes left. You got just enough time right now to go ahead and call that line, leave the message, and we can play it before we go tonight. And then just so you know, Grant Tavius asked to put this back up, and we sure will do it. Grant, welcome too, man. Thanks for coming through. Grant. And Grant can call in anytime. Come on, man. Grant he can come on, he can call, he can do whatever he wants, man. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave this message up, but I want to read that one. Rob G and Coley, that was the funniest thing I ever seen on the show. No ifs, ands, or buts. So then you'll get an idea for where the show is going. This is gonna be that fun show. It's gonna be that thing that's different than what you see during the week in S.O.R. Purposely, this is what we're designing and putting together. And you saw the formulation, further formulation of that tonight. And let's see. Yeah, that greeting message, Magneticus. I know you can. Yeah, I have to put all the info in there, Magneticus. I have to let you know. No cursing, no politics, no religion. Please state your name first and then leave them. I have to do it, Magneticus. It has to be. 2 more likes for 100. We would love to get that, but take the number down. I'm gonna keep refreshing, man. Maybe we get another one at the buzzer here. Hopefully we do. I would love to hear more.
Hopefully Derek is pushing those buttons on his phone.
I doubt it, but send you a link. You want to jump in, Grant? Tell me right now. You want to jump in? What are we doing, Grant? You jumping in on camera? Where are we at? Let me know. I'm going to get it ready right now. Are you jumping in, Grant? Because I can do that right now. Let me do this. All right. We are going to have a special treat for you guys today. I'm going over and putting it in the S.O.R. chat, Grant. Actually, I got you right here, Grant. Let me know if you got that, Grant. If so, you should be popping up any moment. Send it to your Facebook, Grant. Are we going to get a Grant sighting?
I don't know. I didn't see, is he on chat? I don't see him.
Yeah, I put it in his Facebook Messenger. I'm going to also throw it in where's the groups, view groups. Oh, gotta bring up this one here. Team S.O.R. I'm gonna put it in there too, Grant. Team S.O.R. All right, Grant, I put in Team S.O.R. chat and also sent it to you. The link is there. We're waiting for a Grant appearance.
The anticipation.
Right.
I don't see him on yet.
All right, let me remove some of these windows. Okay.
Here we go.
Wait a minute, guys. Grant in the building. Hey, Grant. Hey, come on, go wild, crowd. Where you at?
How
What's
y'all
up,
doing?
Grant? All right, Grant. All right. Glad you could join us, man. Did you enjoy what we did here? What do you think? What do you think, man? What do you think?
You guys are having way too much fun. Let me turn myself sideways. There we go.
Hey, light up the chat, guys. What are we doing? What's up, Grant?
Let's not only get the chat rolling. Everybody, take a moment to exit the chat if you're on a cell phone or if you're on your computer, and go ahead and hit that like button for us. That helps our algorithms out so much for Spaced Out Radio. We are having a lot of fun tonight. We've had a lot of people on here, as well as G. I'm telling you right now, this is one of the best channels to be on. I have a story for you guys that you're not going to believe.
Let's
so
go.
check this out.
Oh, let's hear it.
This is a lot of fun. So my area that I used to be on the radio with is right here. Here's all three screens in the background. Background's a little different, but hey, excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold. So I got a fun story. I went to a place called Medford, Oregon, and here's something awesome. Brown Dwarf, if you're listening, I was in Medford a couple weeks ago. I haven't said this story to anybody else, but I went to Medford. I got a buddy that is passing away, and I went to go say goodbye, and I had to stay in a hotel room. In this hotel room, it was just me and my daughter, and she wanted to go with me. And because the hotel room has a jacuzzi in it, which is great for her, whatever. But so I go downstairs, and this is what's really fun. So I go downstairs, and there's this gentleman that's doing, the night maintenance, keep up, and entering people into the hotel after hours. And it's midnight. The hotel's pretty much closed, except for him. I get down there, and I'm ready to smoke a cigarette. As many people know, I do smoke. But anyways, I go and I start chatting with this guy, and he comes up. He's like, "Hey, man, hey, I'm into aliens. I'm into UFOs. I'm into Sasquatch." And he says, "Yeah, hey, do you hear about the government talking about aliens?" And I was like, "Yeah, I watched the whole Senate, the hearing with everybody." He's like, "Yeah, you ever watch Spaced Out Radio?"
Mm,
I'm like,
worldwide.
"Yeah, I do."
That's awesome.
Oh,
That is awesome.
It gets better. So this guy just started, and this is a couple weeks ago. So this guy just got started watching Spaced Out Radio. And I was like, "Yeah, no, that's a great show, And he's like, "Yeah, Dave's amazing." I was like, "Yeah, he's a cool dude." And I was like, "How long you been watching?" "Oh, a couple months, me and my wife, and da 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 da." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You ever watch any of the weekend shows?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've watched. We're going through the archives and all that on YouTube." And I'm like, "Great." I was like, "All right, that's cool." And you should keep watching them. He's like, "Oh yeah." And he sits there and he stares at me for a minute while I'm smoking my cigarette. And he's like, "You're Grantavius." I'm like, "Nice to meet you, bro."
Like, yes, I am.
I am.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That is awesome.
it's one of those moments where I for the first time ever, that I actually got recognized in public as being Grantavius. But I told him, I said, "Look, man, I got a lot of stuff going on, and I got two jobs. I work 70 plus hours a week, so I can't be on the show anymore, not for the time being. But keep watching, because things are getting gravy great. So let's have some fun, and let's talk about our personal experiences."
That's right.
That's awesome.
So G,
yo,
give me your juiciest experience that you've had to date.
Ah, man, juiciest experience I've had. I think I said on the other show, it wasn't really too much. I had a shadow person encounter that I got on film, clear cut, full body shadow person image. Scariest thing, because actually leading up to that, we would hear footsteps on the roof, and we
Yes.
knew people weren't there. And then less than a year later, we had the shadow person. Craziest
Oh
thing
my
I had.
God. So let me ask you a question. So I've talked many of shows about shadow people. So here's something a little bit different. Let me bring it back about, when I was 19, I think. So we're talking 25. I'd like to say 25 years, but 19 was more than that. Anyway, so I had a grandfather. We want to hear Grandtavia's story. All right, I got plenty of those for you. You guys have seen nothing yet, believe me. I got plenty of them. Anyways, so my great grandfather had passed away, right? And that's about 22 years ago now. And so he passed away. His name was Dude, for anybody that wants to look this guy up. It was right in California, Dude Schaefer. You can look all that up yourself. So Dude Schaefer, and his real name was Dude, D-U-D-E, Schaefer. And so he passes away. That's my last great grandparent. And he had a double wide mobile home because they went down from a house with property. They couldn't take care of it. He was in his 90s, and he's like, I'm done. So he passes, and I move into that house with my girlfriend at the time. Her name was Tina. And what was really interesting was we didn't change anything in the house. I didn't have a lot of property at the time. I just had clothes and personal effects. I didn't have anything major. So it was really easy to move into my great great grandparents' house. And excuse me. So I get in there, and me and Tina would hear footsteps going up and down the hallway. So the master bedroom where we stayed, if you it's hard to explain, but the master bedroom was at the end of the property or the end of the house, and you had a really long hallway that had a bathroom and a bedroom and all these things that would go towards the main living room. But we would hear at separate times. So she was the, I guess, shift manager of Taco Bell at the time. We're young, and so she would be up until 1 in the morning closing down her shift and getting the building ready for tomorrow's, whatever. So I would be sleeping alone, or I would work, and I did at the time. I was working for California Shingle and Shake down in Redding, California, and so I was always just working, and I'd work until late at night. Sometimes 9 o'clock at night. And of course, my 20-year-old self thought that was really late, and but realistically, I started asking her. I was like, "Hey, I'm hearing footsteps coming up and down the hall, and not only in the hall, but they would come into the master bedroom." And I slept with all the lights off, all the door open and stuff, and whatever. So one night, my girlfriend Tina has her friend and her boyfriend over, and they stayed in. My great grandparents slept in different bedrooms. I'm sure most people understand that. Older generations did that. So this girl, she wakes up in the middle of the night, and she goes to the bathroom. Now the bathroom was right across the hallway from the second bedroom, and she gets in there, and she hears these footsteps going up and down the hallway, and she's like, "Hello, hello," and she was stuck in there for an hour. For an hour. And she never spent the night again, trust me. But and so we found out, because we found the money, that my great grandfather had hid a bunch of money inside the master bedroom, a bunch of it. And
Oh, sweet.
the den, because the hallway connected the master bedroom, the second bedroom, the second bathroom, and the den and kitchen were kind of on this like strip, and then you had the main living room and the dining room, and his room was the den and the master bedroom, and he would walk between those two, and we would hear him all the time. So I was just used to it. And she heard him and got stuck in the bathroom for an hour, calling out, trying to figure out who the hell was in the hallway walking around. Well, it was him. So when it comes to ghosts, and in fact, here's something fun. When it comes to ghosts, if you guys watch back on the weekend show where I talked about George, for anybody that knows what I'm talking about, George is back, and my current wife, has heard him. My oldest son, who is now 13, heard him this summer. and he did the same exact thing he did when I first realized he was around, which is strum a guitar, which I have a bunch of them here. But yeah, so if we're talking about ghosts, guys, I can go on for hours.
Good. And I didn't know. See, I didn't know if you would come on camera or not. So you are, okay. So Grant's gonna be back then. So we're gonna have Grant back when we get on some paranormal stuff, and maybe even talk about shadow people. I did a whole show on shadow people as well. So I'm kind of versed on that. So, man, Grant, this has been a freaking treat, dude. I'm honored that you came on with us. I didn't expect this. I know Coley is as well. I know the audience is, because they're clamoring for you, as you can see all the time. Get Grant back. So, I know when you work things out, you'll be back in the saddle. Everybody's waiting for that.
I want to say something to you real quick, G.
Yep.
I love not only the way you present things, Coley, you're great. You guys have a dynamic that works for this show. I love it. And when I get my ducks in a row, they're not even in the same pond yet. I know Dave. I love Dave. He's my brother, but when it comes to life, I'm still trying to figure out how to orchestrate things and get it all solved. But when I am able, because I'm still part of S.O.R. I love
Oh
everybody at
yeah, your
S.O.R.
family.
Yeah, I'm still here, everybody. I'm not live. I'm not present. But when I do become present, I want to be with you two. You guys are
Let's do
great.
it.
I love you
We're
both.
waiting. We're waiting.
You
I
heard it.
love it.
When I can figure out my ducks and start, I gotta get someone to run my business for me. That's all it takes and when I can go down to one single job instead of doing two and working 70 plus hours a week, I will be here with you both,
That's
and
right.
we are gonna
Awesome.
have a freaking blast. This is
Yeah,
gonna be
we are. Grant,
We will.
dude.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
I've always looked up to the way that you handle the show as well. So,
Oh, you're doing great,
I
man.
I'm gonna
You're
love
doing
that dynamic. It's gonna be untouchable, Grant. It's gonna be untouchable. It's not gonna be anything that anyone can do to top this show. So I can't wait, Grant. You're teasing,
You're
man.
Yeah,
you're
I
already on
know.
top. You're already on top. You both are amazing. I've been sitting here waiting, watching. I don't always say things in the chats, but when I do, you'll see me every now and then in there. But I'm always watching you guys, and I love what you're doing. You have a good dynamic. And for anybody in the chat rooms right now, trust me, this show is only going to get better. And
Yeah,
because of you, you're making it better by watching us and being a part of this as well.
that's right.
S.O.R. is my life, my family, and you got Coley on here, you got G on here. Trust us, it's only going to get better. I mean, if you guys watch that Senate hearing, just a month and a half back, yeah, this is going to be a whole lot more interesting here in the near future. So let's do this. Let's keep it real. It's going to be a lot
We're
of fun.
waiting on you. We are waiting on you, Grant.
Dude, Grant
Yeah,
dropping bombs.
definitely.
Let's give it up for Grant. Let's give it up for Grant Tavius.
Yeah.
Clap it up, clap it up. Yes, thank you for coming through, Grant. Yes, okay. Everybody's loving it.
As you guys can see my messy home behind me.
That's
That's what's
okay.
up.
We were just glad you came. We're not there.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Please, anything for Grant, man. And
Yeah.
I appreciate those kind words as well. As we
You're doing
rebuild and
great.
restructure this thing here at the After Hours. So we'll get it up to speed, and then we'll get it to a point, and then we'll be ready for Grant, and then we're just gonna set it off.
Yeah, it will be a dynamic. I mean, I knew about this for a while, so I was like, "This is awesome."
Well,
I'm
you got to
excited.
understand, it doesn't take me to be up to speed. You guys are doing freaking amazing.
Yeah,
like you got it up to speed. I'm just, I'm
He's
here.
kick it into overdrive.
No, it's not even
There
into
you go.
overdrive. It's just I'm gonna have fun with you.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna be a lot of fun with you guys.
Yeah.
Because you're family now.
Yes.
100%.
This is
Sorry
the
to tell you,
truth.
but I got your back.
Man, okay, that's what's up. So if Grant isn't back by May, make sure you guys get your tickets to the S.O.R trip in Vegas, the fan party. Grant will be there, I've heard.
Not Vegas, but Reno.
I mean Reno. My bad.
Yep.
Reno. Grant will be there, I heard. I will be there as well. Coley will be there. Jessica Jones, Dave Scott, Kira, Terry Hall, the whole list, the whole faculty. So we would love to see you guys there. I don't know if you can book them now, but as soon as there's available, get online and book your tickets. Let's get there. Let's all have a great time. And we're going to have a great time leading up to that point.
The venue is amazing.
So let me tell you something. Every time I go to Reno, I go to the Silver Legacy. In fact, I get free rooms there because I'm there so much. And that's what's funny about this whole trip to Reno is I have no excuse, none, to not be there because I live so close to Reno. I'm everybody knows who's ever watched the show. I'm in Klamath Falls. I can be in Reno very quickly. And so come to Reno, check out the S.O.R team, come hear the stories. Let's do this right. We're going to have a lot of fun, people. Every one of us. I will be there. Coley will be there. G will be there. Dave Scott, Kira, Terry, everybody will be there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be
Absolutely
awesome.
amazing. And if I can figure out how to do it, I might do an after party at my house. I might.
Oh yeah. You already said it. You already said
you
it.
already put it in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we gotta
family
do it
now. We don't need an invite.
Yeah.
We're coming over.
Oh no. Hey, I can. Here's my front door. That door is always open.
Okay.
I
When
love
we
it.
walk
I love
through
it.
it, don't be
That's
ignoring
love. That's family. That's love.
I
I
love it.
appreciate
I love
that.
it.
So there's a little keypad right here. There's a little keypad right there. It's only 4 digits, and the first one starts with 0, so it doesn't take too long to figure out what it is. And I'll give every single one of you my digits, so you guys can just walk in and be like, "Hey, let's do this." And I have, well, you can't see it now, but behind me is the lake. Like I literally live.
Oh my god, this is awesome. Getting better by the
100
minute.
Falls, yeah.
And it's
I'm
like 2
familiar with
days
the
after
area.
my birthday, so we can celebrate my birthday
Let's
at
do
your
it.
house. Yeah.
Let's do
Birthday
it.
party there. Yeah, let's do it.
After party
I'm
at Grant's.
ready.
After
Woohoo!
party at Grant's. Y'all heard it. Y'all
Right.
heard it here first. After party at Grant's. Love be love. Hope you there. Neil Warden, show up.
My biggest thing is to have. So I have a Bruderschaft in the show. My brother, my love brother, is everybody knows him as Dirty Filth, right? If we can get
Yeah, I
Dirty
love him. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Filth into my home, done, dude. My life is complete.
That's right.
Is
Yeah,
he
I can't wait to
going?
meet Phil
Is
too.
he going to Reno?
I hope he does. If he
I
doesn't,
do
I'll send him the fucking plane ticket. The freaking plane
Yeah.
ticket.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I gotta meet Phil, man. I can't wait. A lot of people I'm ready to meet, man. Can't wait. It's an awesome team, man, and that's what I'm seeing is really a strong, awesome team here, and I respect everybody's abilities. And Dave is the guy Monday through Friday, and he's the one we look up to. I love what he does, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Absolutely.
100%.
All right. Well, guys, we had to do it. So we were supposed to be off at 11, but there's Pacific. There's no way we were gonna do that. We were gonna talk to Grant, and then we've done that. And so what you can do now, in case you guys want to do some call-in stuff, go over to the Social Dig, man. It's a live call-in show right now. Go over there, get on the line. Derek Galloway, I want to see you there. You know the number. Meet me over there in about 15 minutes, Derek Galloway. Tim Altman, everybody who's still up in the chat, go over to the Social Dig. Let's do some live calling stuff. Let's talk.
Hey, G, send me that info.
Yep, I'm gonna do
Yeah,
it.
me too.
I have your I'll send it to the chat. Yeah, you too, Coley, obviously. So yeah, we'll see you guys in a minute. And so what we're gonna do right now, we are going to, as we prepare to close, I want to thank all the super chatters, and we'll go ahead and take a look here. We did have the Debster, and we had Surfer. Thank you guys so much for super chatting.
Awesome.
Now, all you guys are space travelers out there, we already know that. So consider taking the next step. Join the Space Travelers Club. That's right. You can join the S.O.R. Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 by joining our Patreon. We appreciate your support. To all our viewers and listeners across the globe, thank you for tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. And what is that, guys?
We own
We
the night.
own the night. You guys have a
Yeah,
great
we
rest of your night.
do.
See you at the social dig. Take care.